society, boys in the hood type shit. Some of them words I wouldn't have heard till I got to jail.
Yeah. Big Mouth, we ready?
Big Mouth always ready. What you mean is we ready? It's like, nah. Shit, man, what it do is your boy, Big Mouth, Mouth of the South. I feel like you already know, when it comes to some Big Mouth media shit, Big Mouth play, we gonna come with the exclusive every time.
Gotta break it.
Hey, look, we just coming with content on content on content. You never know if we're gonna have the biggest rapper, or the biggest gangster, or the, you know what I'm saying, the most experienced, or the most informative. You feel me? Like, you never know how we coming on Big Mouth Media.
Might bring y'all somebody new y'all never seen before.
Hey, look, man, we got somebody that's different though. I feel like this the first time in Big Mouth Media, that we kind of had like, I don't even know if I would want to say like OG before we dive into the conversation, just because a lot of people got different opinions on what OG mean, respectfully, so it's no disrespect type shit. But we got somebody that I've been hearing about a lot, but then the past couple months, you know, I'm not from North Carolina, I can say on every show, I'm like, he said that on every show, but certain shit that you be knowing, I don't be knowing, because you're from here.
For sure.
But just for me looking at the internet though, and me just, you know what I'm saying, having the conversation with Play, welcome to Big Mouth Media, man. Appreciate you for sure.
Oh, man, appreciate y'all for having me, man. Salute, man. What the business is, what we getting into?
For sure. But before we get into it, man, let them know who else we got on the couch with us, man. We got another 2 familiar faces real quick.
Yeah, I'm Shaka.
Straight. Hey, look, real low key. Played it down. Played it real quick.
You hear me? And
a lot of people from where we from and that definitely know who Shock is, man. This was my celly, but this also a good friend of mine, a brother of mine, a comrade. He an author, activist. He do a whole bunch of things. One of the things that really inspired me about him, man, and I don't even know if he know it, but like I thought my situation was hard. I had 15 and life at 16. This is the only person that I ever met that came out of D.C. Superior Court that had life without parole. I mean, he did his time like if he was going home the next day. Like, some type of way, man, he was inspiring me to feel like, you know, I'm a dude, I had to make parole. He was a dude who's supposed to never get out. So that's a little bit of his story.
Well, that's crazy.
Humble man, because he just said Shagger. You feel me? That's a humble man.
Like, he
right
ain't
there.
been through nothing.
Sure.
That man been through everything. You the proof.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, for sure, so you said y'all was cellmates?
Yeah, we were cellies at one time in USP Lee County. You know what I mean? They send DC guys all over the country, man. There's something like 120 plus federal prisons. They might send us to any one of them, as long as it ain't a camp. But you got some DC dudes in the camp, but I'm talking about DC guys like us that had, you know, time and, you know, they had the houses in certain levels of penitentiaries just because we was probably from DC. I mean, some of us may have had sentences that merit that type of custody attention, but, you know, if we was in a home system or a state system where we from, like a person from a Virginia or North Carolina, I don't think we would have been at the top echelon of the prison system for 10, 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? But we could get into that. That's a part of prison politics and the government shit, the way D.C. run. You know, D.C. ain't a state, it's a federal district, and a lot of rules and regulations that goes on for people like us. Some people from other places don't even know. Like, if a person is born in a town or a city that's a part of a state, as they grow up and they learn the way their civic system work, they would never be taught the type of shit that goes on in D.C. So I never find it really odd when people that's not from D.C. don't understand what the fuck be going on here.
Yeah. I told you I went from D.C.?
Yeah, you told me that. But it seemed like everybody that I do an interview with, right, and I ain't saying this in a good or bad way, they have a perception of D.C., whether it be societal life or street life or prison life, and they're not that they're wrong, but being as though they haven't experienced with me or this brother or some other brother's experience from here, they'll ask you questions as if they know. Perfect example, I did an interview with a guy and he said, since DC runs the federal system, I don't believe DC run the federal. Do you believe DC run the federal? I don't want to get into that right now. Y'all play with that lady, but what my point that I'm trying to make before we get into that is that how do I start to answer that question? I mean, and then like, this is my partner, this is my brother. There's a bunch of guys like this that did time with me that were guys that taught me, inspired me, or I looked up to. When the cameras cut off, I go back around these guys. So like, I don't ever want to misrepresent what our struggle is, but nevertheless, if I don't believe it, I just ain't repping that. And that's just, you know, an example of certain things that I see when guys get a person from DC, from the subculture of DC, from the streets of DC, the inner city DC, unless you really met a guy that's really of that cloth, I don't think you fully gonna, even have the proper questions to ask him.
Now for sure, shit, we starting from the top though. I feel like we do want to build with you though. So for the people that's like tapping in on Big Mouth Media, like we definitely trying to start from the top. We ain't just trying to, get to all the big shit or the most highlighted shit, about your resume on the internet. We really trying to like tap in with you. With that being said, what part of DC you from?
Northwest, man. Uptown, DC.
What you know about Northwest?
Shit, man. I went to school up Curls. I went to school up on the northeast side, but shit, everybody be uptown. I ain't gonna hold you. That's where the most shit going on. Not even like that, but you hear me?
Shout out to Curl. I'm supposed to go to Archbishop Curl.
You supposed to go to Curl?
Yeah, but I got caught up in the streets. But I wanted to go. I wanted to play football for them.
For sure. My man, the cameraman Duke went to Curl. He played football for Curl too. Yeah,
a lot of legendary dudes. I ain't gonna say a lot. A couple legendary dudes out of DC went to Curl. One of them just come to my mind is Big Head Gary. If you familiar with the paid in full store, he went to Curl. Yeah, Curl. Yeah, so you got that. You could bang that next time you talk about. Right. Big Head Gary went to Curl. Shout out to Mustafa Tyreek, DC Decades. I learned that from him. I thought I knew it, but he went to Curl with him. Also, one of my publishers, Sharice Washington from the Cartel Publications, also went to Archbishop Curl. Oh, wow. Shout out to Curl, man. They produced a lot of people that made some waves in DC culture.
Oh yeah, they about to get some more. You know what I mean?
Now, that's fire though. I feel like that's fire. Okay. Just to hear you say it out your mouth, because I know times be changing. Everything ain't always the same. You in a different generation. Yeah. So from your perspective of Northwest, like when you hear Northwest, like what you think in your head?
Shit. So I ain't even from the city though. So when I first started coming to the city was when I started going to school out in the city, and it was too much to keep going back and forth. So I started laying my head out the city. So Uptown, well, first Michigan Park was the first to embrace me. That's right down the street. That's right, from Curl. And then I started Uptown, going through KDY, going up on 14th, going all around. Then I was staying around by Clifton for a little minute over there by Cardozo. So shit, Uptown's always been, up there on CTU side. So Uptown always been love. And Kelly, shout out Kelly, he from Uptown. So I got a lot of good men from up there. Uptown, they always been known for getting money.
So listen though, when you thinking of Uptown and Northwest though, you thinking like getting money, you thinking crime, you thinking fresh, like what you thinking of?
You would get your ass cracked out Uptown, but Uptown really getting money. Like when I first started getting around Uptown and really getting locked down, Uptown they gonna show you how to get some money for sure.
When it come to getting money though, would you say Uptown like, you know what I'm saying, like getting the most money out here or consistent?
People get money all over the city, but Uptown, you gonna catch niggas on money harder Uptown than you is. And from my experience, you gonna catch niggas on money for real Uptown. You gonna catch some more niggas on some bullshit versus the other side of the city. Everybody knows, money first. That other shit can, still gonna happen, but we putting that bread to the front.
Now for sure. So being that's where y'all from, like that's where I even say, where you from?
No, I was born uptown, like 14th and W, then 10th and W. Okay. But I moved around Northeast. I got family around Northeast, so I made my name around 18th and D Northeast.
Okay.
Would y'all say that's the same though? Like vibes though? Was he accurate? What he say about Northwest?
I wanted to hear his answer to that. Like
what
he's saying. What's your opinion on his take on Uptown things?
I mean, because I got some buddies from the South Side. It's like real like, and it's kind of comparable to like Uptown, like New York. Far as like the far as how we move is kind of like fast paced. It's multiple hustle. Southeast like a dirty South type thing. You know what I'm saying? They get money, but it's like they got that persona that's more like grimy. You know what I'm saying? So dudes from the South Side, they'd be hating on niggas Uptown because niggas be fresh. You know what I'm saying? We probably all talk like you say we get money. The bras we had, it's more of a mixture. We had like
some
Latino.
Bad shit Uptown. I ain't gonna lie. Be some bad shit Uptown.
Like Uptown had all the bras. We got all the Latino bras, African Ethiopians, all of that. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
So,
Uptown snapping.
Uptown, you got
Yeah.
Silver Spring that come down
come
into
down,
Uptown.
all the Maryland joints will come down there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Let me stop.
we job, like you said, I mean, it is dangerous though. You know what I'm saying? But like you said,
Yeah,
I agree.
it's a different look
It's a
uptown.
different
You gotta
look.
know what you're doing uptown.
Yeah.
I feel like you could get tricked uptown being from out of state because it looks so nice and
You can probably get tricked uptown being from in town because uptown, y'all mentioning a lot of the good things, but there's a lot of stereotypes of uptown niggas being soft or slow or sweet and this and this and that. I mean, just recently, maybe the last 10 years, you know, that gunplay done kind of like popped back off uptown, like to
for
get
sure.
to real, not to change the conversation and the violence, but to get to real, like notable dudes that was known for violence. You had to go back to the 90s because uptown dudes was known for getting money. But, you know, to add my 2 cents to the story, I think now, see, I'm older, so I still got a whole lot of that uptown pride. And, you know, I want to believe that we still the money getting motherfuckers or the money getting side of town or this or that. But I know dudes from all over town now that's into getting money. Getting money don't seem to be a thing like it was when I was young. Even if you was a dude that was on gunplay in the 90s when you was coming up, you better had to been getting some money because you wouldn't have been able to drive a car, live nowhere, dress no type of way to be appealable or this or that. But, you know what I mean? I think nowadays that philosophy or that mentality of getting money, I don't think it's spread as far as it was back when I was coming up with some of these eras in time. And with Shaka mentioned it because, like, you know, dudes that's getting money and able to flash it and flaunt it now are few and far between. You got more people pretending like they getting money going broke to do it than back in the days where, as though you mentioned Curl and I mentioned Gary, people didn't even know he was a millionaire in high school. This getting money shit these niggas talk about right now, you got $100,000, you get money.
Who was a millionaire in high school?
Big Head Girl.
Big Head Gary was a
Big Head
millionaire
Gary.
in high school. Like,
He's also-
you
yeah.
can't find a nigga in this city that's a millionaire in high school, I bet. I mean, wouldn't you like? I mean, I know I could be jumping out there, but what you think?
Hold it on. I got this. My only stipulation with that, right?
Yeah.
There ain't never gonna be no type of money like the dope game. So you can't. It's impossible to run that type of money
You
up.
say dope game, what you mean?
Right,
Back,
like crack
you hear
or
me?
something
Back
like
in that.
Oh no, when I say dope game, I'm talking
I
dope.
heard
I just want
Yeah,
to make sure I
nah,
understood.
my
what
fault.
he-
Yeah,
my
not
fault.
straight
Nah.
dope, but yeah, even back in the crack era. So we going to there. Ain't no hustle right now because
That's a crazy statement to say that. I feel like because this era right now is on scam time. So if you
So
don't,
if you gon-
do you know how much people clocking on scam time?
niggas be bullshitting on scam. It's
So
a
you-
couple niggas out there that's really getting it on the scam shit. You hear me? It is. But what I'm saying is,
What's the longevity of a scammer though? Like
the
we
thing
gotta
is
talk
though,
like that when we talk
you
about
fucking
me.
with white collar crime though. So the risk reward a little bit different though, because a lot of niggas that take
What's the
home.
longest run you ever heard of?
Shit, all right. So the nigga that got the African nigga
see
that
where
got
I'm
caught
going,
in
right?
It had to
Dubai.
be African.
It was the
I'm
African
saying, so
nigga
you-
that got caught in Dubai. That nigga fake sold a plane. You know what I mean?
How
That was a
long-
minute ago.
how
though.
long
But listen
was
though,
his run?
I'm just saying. So you
Yeah,
think
he was
you don't
going
think the
that- his run was-
scamming industry is longevity? No, quick.
36 months is pushing it.
On a scammer, a
3
scam-
years?
On almost all criminal conspiracies, 36 to 60 months. And anybody can Google this. I'm coming from some fact type shit. Not to say that I know more. I'm just saying factual. They say the average time for a running back in the NFL is such and such a time. Some of them may go 10 or 12 years. I'm just saying
respectfully,
the
you not-
average criminal runs are 36, and that's pushing it.
Yeah.
36 to 60 months. So I'm saying if we gonna say that scamming is this and that, then that really is saying what I'm saying, that a lot of things are just terrible. Like you got dudes, I mean, the average drug conspiracy run, he said dope game. I like to categorize things in the like stronger categories like dope, coke, weed, meth, this or that. So that's the only reason why I asked him that, because you're back in the days, your crack dudes that had runs. And let me clarify something just because we talking about crack, because I'm gonna make a point about it. A lot of times dudes talk about Rayful Edmond and they say crack kingpin. Dudes did not sell hundreds of keys of crack, bruh.
Oh, pound.
That's powder. So I'm just saying that people that had powder coke runs and crack coke runs, you could look at the time in their case when they get arrested. How long did the feds investigate them? How long did they get money? So I bring it all the way back full circle to say, I dig what you're saying with this scam and shit. I don't really consider or put no trophy or no plaques on the wall for somebody that made $100 million and you made it in 24 months and then it's over and then you go to jail. Like if you Bernie Madoff and you got hundreds of billions and you did it for 10, 20, 30 years, maybe I consider that. I'm not considering that fly by night shit. That's just like me saying that, oh, used jeans was gonna last for 20 years. Anybody that understood fashion knew that that wasn't gonna happen. Do y'all even know what used jeans are?
Fuck no.
All right, so like then that's kind of my point.
But listen,
Also,
like,
I think the scamming joint is kind of deceptive hustle because like a lot of the youngins, you know what I'm saying, they scamming, you know what I'm saying, and they posting that shit versus like niggas in the crack era of the 90s. Granted, we didn't have social media, you know what I'm saying, but even when you getting that, like nigga like Gerd, nigga was a millionaire, he didn't tell because he wasn't front.
I didn't know that till 20 years later.
You know, I know a bunch of like my older dudes, you know what I'm saying, was getting money, you know what I'm saying, and they'll wear that shit during certain events. But as soon as a nigga bust a jig
That's
for
old,
10,000,
yeah.
20,000, he got
He put
Louis,
that
he got
cop.
chains, he got all this other stuff. You think he worth $200,000, you know what I'm saying? But for real, don't be having that back. Like I said, you
look,
really
it
think
depends
$100,000
on
happen?
levels though. At the same time, I feel like it depends on levels though, because you got people that's lit, you know what I'm saying, just off of selling marijuana, and then you got people that's lit off of scamming.
That's a different.
But it's like it's still different levels though. It's from the smallest to the top.
I still think that there's never gonna be a type of era like it was back in that era where people was, like you said, high schoolers was becoming millionaires that fast and really running it. Because if they becoming millionaires and you saying the average run is 36 to 60 months pushing it.
I'm saying that now that's
Right.
almost 50 years old, but
But
I
in
didn't
y'all
know that
era,
then.
how long was the run?
I'm saying,
Yeah,
not
I'm just
him
saying
or
in
not
general.
them. I'm saying that your average runs in criminal activity since the 70s on up, the average run is about 36 months, 24 to 36 months. Now, I'm not saying that they're not guys like, for an example, I'm gonna go back to the 70s. You got guys like Linwood Gray. If you look him up in the court papers and the newspapers, they gonna say he was one of the top successful heroin dealers of the decade, all right? You don't have a bunch of dudes that's gonna last 10 and 20 years doing it. For an example, just to bring it full speed, I don't wanna keep talking old school. Demetrius Flannery, for an example, people said they did this and did that for 20 years. Though that's not one 20-year run, would you agree? That's a couple 2-3 year runs, 5 different that he didn't run for 20 years. Yo, a person would really have to understand. A person would really have to understand what it is to, have a connect, have a run. You know what I mean? People don't even remember. People don't even consider that, your most successful dope boys have ups and downs. Most people don't even know about the times they were broke. I can speak specifically about Michael Frey Sardis. I knew him as a child, and a lot of people, I know the times that people glorified when he was up, but I seen him and his partners down, all the way on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So, it made me look at people as just being human. But to get back to your question, it's not a whole, there's some people that probably had decades long run, but they not living by no type of code like a lot of bunch of African American quote unquote people that's on the other side of the law. You know what I mean? So I ain't really studied too many other criminals of any ethnic background, be it, Corsican, French, Italian. Their rules is different. They can survive 10 and 20 and 30 years. They bring their people up to assimilate into society. Most of us that come up in crime families, we just trying to put some food on the table. Leave a place like Carolina, maybe get to a place like DC or Baltimore or Philly, a bigger city. And I'm saying that not to put no focus on people that come from the South. My people come from the South. But if you think about people like Bumpy Johnson, Frank Matthews, where they came from the South, stealing chickens, doing shit that they had to do to get bigger than where they were, and they outgrew where they were, and they had to go to a bigger city. Look at their runs. I just ended right there. How long did they run? These are the people that, like, if Kobe looked up to Michael Jordan and wanted to be better than him. If you seen people that came out of nothing and got something, and you look at their runs and what they had to do it, I think the proof of what I'm saying is in some of those history lessons.
Hey, look though, you did like a lot of name dropping on the loader. I thought you done dropped like 4 or 5 names.
So that way you might can understand maybe the difference of where because I'm judging my opinion. I ain't just saying, I think this because of it. Mm-hmm. I'm saying these are people I seen, like we could drop sports names.
No, listen, only reason why I say that is because the people that you name drop, I want to come back and get their stories at the same time because that's the first time me hearing their name. I know everybody coming from different listening perspectives. Like these names that you just dropped, I ain't never heard of. You heard of them?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So I ain't never heard of them. So I got.
Which ones? None of them?
I ain't heard.
You
of
never
none
heard
of
of
them.
Bumpy or Michael Furry? None of them.
I think I heard of Bumpy. That might be the only one.
Okay. I was about to say Bumpy probably the most notable.
Yeah, I
for
think I heard of him
Denzel
for
and
sure.
all that.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to stop me every time because we already done established that I'm a little older.
No, for sure, for sure.
That's what we need. That history.
Yeah, we
But
start-
let's
we-
go
we-
now.
yeah,
We can keep it moving.
What would you say is a connect? You spoke on a connect. What's like a connect to you though? Like for as like everybody say they the plug these days. Plug and connect me the same thing?
Not
Hell
to me.
nah.
Not to me. And I be having this conversation sometime with people that's close to me at different ages. So let me just try to give you the short answer. The reason why I say that is because I think that I was a part of the people that said everything somebody was a plug or a connect at a younger age. But once I met a person in my life, you know what I mean, I done been involved in hustling and selling drugs and stuff like that. That ain't no secret. Statute of limitation on anything I done is over and done with. I don't care nothing about it. I'm not afraid of it. I understand how to deal with it. With saying that, as I went from, selling small amounts of drugs to bigger amount of drugs. And what I mean by big amount of drugs, like when I was a kid, sure, I sold a couple of ounces, had a 62, worked my way up to an eighth of key, but that was the gist of it, unless I got to rob. And I don't really want to get into acting like when I started robbing, the type of things that I took was what I was dealing in. But as an adult, after I got out of prison, I met friends in prison that had other friends and associates. And once I met one of them, I thought that I had a connect. But I didn't have a connect because he had a connect. And what I mean by that is that I could round top some stuff. He could do some things for me. And, some of the youngest in my neighborhood, only in my neighborhood or certain neighborhoods I was in, they'd be like, eat a plug. But I knew I wasn't a plug. So a person that really got to connect for a person like me, I'm a name drop again. You had people like, I don't want to name drop this dude here, rap, but his plug, Melvin Butler, was from the West Coast. He was a Crip, and he had a contact that was going to allow him to get Colombian cocaine like a faucet. For people who don't understand, when you turn the faucet on, what happens? Water runs and runs and runs unless the water's cut off. If the water never cuts off, the water runs and runs and runs. So for me and guys that I looked up to that had connects with guys that could get 1,000, 1,500, and remember, in drug trafficking, this is small, like Mexican descent, Hispanic, like drug traffickers. I don't want to get into a respect and disrespect, but I done some of these podcasts with on all walks of life. Those guys that move metric tons of shit consider dudes like a Big Meech or a guy like a Rayful Edmond or any of these other big African-American drug dealers that some of us know about, may look up to, may idolize, may think are a piece of crap. They think they small and they talk bad about them. But in whatever level we're in, that was a connect to me. And I grew up in a culture of dudes that was doing what you call round topping. And for round topping for me is that you buy 4, 5 junks, so I could buy 13 of them, you get 15 of them. If I could get all y'all money, I can go get them and I can make money off of bringing it back. That's a part of the game that I played in. I never excelled beyond that part of the game. I never pretend to. But in order to do that, you have to at least know someone that is a connect or has a connect. And for me, if you ain't over there, not where they make it, but at least where they smuggle it. Because keep in mind, cocaine comes from the Andes Mountains in Peru and Bolivia and Colombia and all these. This is where you get cocaine base, and then you get cocaine, and then as it travels, it goes up by the tens of thousands, it gets to Texas or California. If you ain't getting it like that, no way, you not no big-ass plug. You just a person that got a contact. You might be a connect to us, but if I can think about the African-American drug dealer, I don't know none of them that was getting more than 2,000 or 3,000 bricks at a time. Those are not tons. So I don't want to get too deep on that, but you asked the question, and when I had these conversations, they keep saying that the dude around the way, they could get 10 bricks and 20 bricks, and they never heard of 100 bricks. Bro, if we ain't talking like that, you ain't talking plug to me. I mean, and I hate to beat my chest like that, but that's not me saying that I'm like that. It's just me reading some cases and knowing some guys that really were plugs or had connects, bro. Like I know one guy that got caught with 150 some joints. His forfeiture was $108,000. You don't meet these dudes on any corner anywhere, be it 1980, 1990, or today. They just not all over the place. So that's why I look at that like that, bro.
Would you say it's a difference though between plug and connects?
I mean, plug or connect, I think it can be argued. To some people, a plug and connect is the same damn thing, okay? So I don't want to get too deep into. That's why every time somebody say something, a lot of time I say, hey, what do you mean? People that are not my buddies, don't like that about me, I could be considered argumentative. But for real, I'm trying to
More about understanding.
I want to level the playing field before we start moving the goalposts. You get what I'm saying? So just like when Bruh said something a minute ago, I said, hold on. What you saying that to say? Just to clarify that, not to correct him. Yeah. You dig? But like my man said, nah, I caught it. He mean all of that, which is what I thought. I just wanted to correct it so as we talk, I know when you say it. Mm-hmm. But if you got a plug, like you might have a plug that's connected to somebody that's really a connect. We could use the movie Scarface. If you not Sosa, the one that's sitting way over there in the mountains that can control manufacturing and this and that, you're not the real plug. You're not the real all, now you may have a person, and I'm just saying this for the sake of conversation because we'd have had this, you might have a person that's in between the two and you could say that's a connect. Like, I had a connect to a plug, in my opinion. I had a dude that could get 100 of them.
Yeah.
The person that he get 100 of them from, he probably sending out thousands all throughout the year. So that's my answer to that, bro.
No, for sure. Just coming out your neighborhood, though, what type of money you think y'all was making? Like, would you say your prime is? Matter of fact, what was your prime coming up? What years?
I went to jail at 16. I'd be lying to you if I sit there and tell you that I was making a whole bunch of money. But keep in mind, money was so abundant in the late 80s and the early 90s. They're making dudes that's making tens of thousands of dollars now and are doing good, in my opinion. Am I right?
Not for sure.
All right, now, kids was making 10s and 20s and some even hundreds of thousands in the late 80s and the early 90s. My drug that I sold was cocaine.
People was making 100,000 in the 80s.
Some.
That's why I told you you can't never compare no era to the era back then, nigga. You can't be 14 you can't be 14 making that.
That's facts.
In 2025, you can't.
I just say that is, if that's facts, that is crazy.
Because I be real, right? And like in our generation, from 91, you know what I'm saying? I started hustling like in 92, right?
But our generation is late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, my generation, like I was 14, had my own car.
Exactly.
And neither one of us, I want you finished, but neither one of us was no big boy on our block.
I believe that shit though.
Like,
but I was driving a
Z.
Z.
Nothing but like see, like a lot of these young this free car shit, niggas got still like you 14, we'll go right up South Dakota Avenue. You know what I'm saying? $1,200 for a bucket. You know what I'm saying? Because back then everybody was on Caprices, the old school shit, Malibu, tint your shit out.
Taurus wagon.
So you crash that shit up. You say you be like $1,200 ain't nothing. You 14, I crash my shit because I go uptown, fuck with Eyon, chase these up, crash my shit, go back up, get another joint. You know what I'm saying? Have my own.
You was insurance during that time?
No, sir.
I ain't had no insurance.
Never heard of it.
Bro,
didn't even know what it was.
They don't got no license.
I ain't got no license.
The dealership ain't getting no fuck. They was paying cash.
Yeah, you get a man going. You 14, man. You got.
Oh, that's the crazy part right there. So no paperwork for real.
No, nigga.
Bruh,
you got this money.
I used to leave the country without a passport.
And what year was this?
91, 92. I used to walk from San Diego into Mexico.
You call him bluff?
I drove from DC to Canada. Like, bro, everything was different when we was coming up.
No passport.
No passport,
they ain't give
bro.
a fuck about nothing. I feel like.
You could walk to Canada.
Yeah, I feel like borders. They ain't give a fuck about that pre 9/11, bro.
But I mean, not to get too. I'm just saying everything was different. But I want to put emphasis. Shaka Noah myself was the top fortunate guy that was getting some money.
1 minute. Let's take a break real quick and cut that down.
So how long would you say the alphabet community was doing the scamming?
It's crazy.
All right, this time I'm gonna say this, right? Because we kind of got off and we mixed it in a little different. Like when you saying scamming encompasses a whole lot of stuff. I was specifically only talking about fraud. Fraud was dealing with the checks and the credit cards. And in my community, the gays had that hustle or that racket on lock. And certain dudes may have brought all of that together with this new form of things that come around since PPP loans. But before PPP loans, you had people that had insurance scams. When I say insurance, I mean health insurance or auto insurance. I don't want to list every type of scam, but when you saying scamming now, and we just related it to back then when people was doing fraud, it's a totally different thing, in my opinion, in the way you're doing it now, because scamming encompasses almost anything. Like, you got dudes that scamming like brothers brought up, and I want to make a point about it. some scamming right now is nothing but con, man. You got dudes that's posting pictures of a bunch of money that they don't even own. They can't even go live with and say, yo, for $500, you can make $5,000. Look, I got 100 bands right here. Let's keep in mind that some of those are just scams, as in John D. Rockefeller father walked around Pennsylvania and Ohio selling cures to cancer that never cured anything. Was that not a scam? But that didn't involve credit cards, frauds, or PPP loans. So sometimes when I hear the word scam, it encompasses you scheming, conning, or do blase. I was only speaking about credit card fraud, which encompasses something with a credit card, writing bad checks, or messing with something of a security.
Hey, your stories is crazy. It was a real thing of somebody going around saying they got a
Well, I just used the name of one of the biggest, most wealthiest people in the world, but you had...
They said they had to cure the cancer.
That's just one I brought up. He sold a bunch of things that he made out of his backyard. I mean, and his son went on to be John D. Rockefeller, like one of the most powerful people in the world. You know what I mean? But I'm making a point that he walked around scamming. He was selling herbs and potions, and some people even consider it to be poisonous. You know, some people say they died from, not necessarily him, but people that sold these things. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, P.T. Barnum. Although we know him for creating big stories and big events, that was his gift. He walked around selling lies. Yeah. That's why we know P.T. Barnum. He made you think that the circus and some animals walking around with lights and fire was so great that our kids even want to do it for generations. They don't do that in other places. He made that popular here. But to come back to John Rockefeller, his father's name was what? Something. He was the one that sold the fake potions. My aunt called him snake oil. Snake oil. We might be getting too old. Come on, slow down. But you knew what I was talking about, snake oil. Like my grandmother used to tell us when we went out into public, don't take no wooden nickels. It's similar. Don't let nobody scam you. Whether they gonna scam you because you paid for something with your card and they got your stuff and now they gonna sink your bank account, but don't let nobody get out on you at all. Don't take no wooden nickels.
But to his point though, like you said, when we growing up, it was only a particular community did that. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd come in, get all these clothes, they use like the boosting and stuff like that. So like in 90, when people was wearing Versace, wearing Coogis and all that other, like,
all the top name brands,
and levels, and all that other stuff, the alphabet people that was their specialty. You know what I'm saying? Niggas like us, like I was explaining, we like when you 10, 11, 12, man, you can just make $100 just like I go to the store for you. You give me $50. Your meal only costs $10. I got $40. He give me $20. The meal $5. You know what I'm saying? Just funny. You know, money was so plentiful. You know, just standing out there, they shooting. How many times you seen like hundreds of $1,000s on the ground shooting dice? You know what I'm saying? Police coming, they woo woo. Hey, shawty. You know what I'm saying? Give $50 for that. Money was too plentiful back then.
That joint just sound like a movie.
That's true, Bill.
That's what the movies was based off of, real life back then. But you mentioned something right there, Shaka, starting at 10 or 11. So for y'all coming up, or just the average youngin coming up, around 10 or 11, is that when you first started like being able to be a store runner outside and things like that for the older guys? Or did they kind of keep y'all separated until y'all?
Like honestly, like when you was a young dude, majority dudes, you wasn't hustling. You know what I'm saying? The older dudes wouldn't let you hustle. Like all my
people
uncles
don't remember that.
All my uncles was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like my uncle Mark, even around 14W, like he was one of the first dudes when the New Yorkers was coming to up northwest. You know, they was getting pressed out. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of like my uncle had a partnership with these New York niggas. You know what I'm saying? And so he used to go to New York and all that other stuff. So long story short, like I'm Lil Mark. I'm the first, that's my uncle, whatever. So I couldn't hustle. All I do is stand there and might wear his gold chains and walk around 10, 11. Might
wear his beeper.
Yeah, I got his beeper. I walk around with his beeper on and stuff like that.
And learn about the beepers.
You know
I know something about the beeper, but what age was this though when you talking about?
It was like in the 80s. I'm like
89, 89?
Yeah, 89.
Oh, 87.
Like 87, 88, 89,
oh,
in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's when the crack type stuff was really blowing up.
So even though y'all still ended up getting into the streets, so how'd you still find your way?
Because like you say, like they set the path, because eventually, like Eyon said, they get locked up. My uncle got locked up in 92 for a kingpin charge out Front Royal, Virginia. You know? So all my other uncle was locked up for murder, he killed somebody in the middle of the street, you know, around W Street, stuff like that. So all my uncles get locked up. and I'm the first grandchild, so it's like I'm like 13 or 14. My grandmother, she's still here. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking around. You know, people look out for you. Hear them, man, what's up with your uncle? You know, he got, you know, and they, you know, give you a few dollars, but they ain't gonna keep on giving you money. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, here, man, I'm gonna start y'all take this 8-ball. You know what I'm saying? And you know, just give me $75. You know, and then you working your way to ounces and stuff. The next, you know, you in the streets.
What age would you say you officially got in the streets though?
Like 12.
12.
Like 12, 13.
I think for our generation, I think that's unless you was a late bloomer, I think that was the age.
That's the age.
Even now, what he was doing, I'm glad that we sitting on this sofa right here together, right? Because it's a prime opportunity for me to kind of make a point that I be debating sometime when I'm on my recreational social media stuff, right? But both of us are from Northwest, but we are from different parts of Northwest. And I don't want to get into what's uptown and what's downtown right now, right? But zip codes, everybody in the whole country understands zip codes. Would you agree that your zip code was a little harder than my zip code? Because like, for an example, in my part of town, I don't want to make it about zip code, so I don't want to get into that part. I just wanted to ask him as a Northwest guy a certain question. But I'm from all the way uptown, almost by Silver Spring. We got it a little bit better than guys in their part of town. Economically, probably. If you wanted to get all social political, I probably could say education and a whole bunch of other things, because my cousins that live from Morton Street on down to where he talking about were members of our family that had not reached a certain level of jobs and opportunities yet, bro. So with me saying that, then my cousins that was from that part of town, they could fight better than me. They knew the value of $1 more than me. You get what I'm trying to say? They knew how to hustle, and I don't mean drugs. I mean wash a car, go to the grocery store, some of these first things he talking about, because for him to sit up here with me and talk about certain things, it made me remember that a lot of our first forays into survival was not necessarily criminal. Right. And we still was off the porch. Well, I'm not gonna I don't wanna go too deep to being off the porch, because some of us got into the streets so soon that we can't even really say that we was off the porch, because we was still living at the family house. You get like really, when you really off the porch, you solely on your own. A lot of us got started in the streets so much that even when we got into the streets, it was almost a secret. Like, I owned a Nissan 300 ZX that I had to hide from my aunt that was like my mama. So I couldn't bring it home. When she found out where I was parking it, I had to park it further away. If I came in the house with Gucci tennis shoes at 12 and 13, she knew them joints cost a bankroll, so I couldn't have them there. So it's a lot of that stuff that when he go back to them 12, 13s, like, if you went from the herb, these are telltale signs that'll show you that a person making it up. Because all these little stages of development that he mentioned, I kind of forgot about.
That's crazy. You was hiding designer shoes from your mom at 12, 13 years old.
I think a lot of us, where I'm from, do you remember this? Yeah. I used to have to get dressed at a friend's house. Like, and I was well taken care of, unlike some of my other buddies and this and that, right? So I might have a pair of Guess jeans, a pair a New Balance, and let's say a polo shirt. You know, nothing hell of a, but for a middle class black family that I came from, if your parents could afford to send you to public school like that, you was doing better than some.
What year?
I'm going back to this point of time, so I'm in like 86, 87. I'm back around this age when we first started learning that we could have our own personality. You know what I'm saying? And by the time I started hustling, we need to add 2 or 3 more years to that. Because by the time I was able to remember, when I first started hustling, like most of us, correct me if you remember something different, it was really just to get fresh at the time. Pair of shoes, sweatsuit, have a couple extra dollars. Smoking weed wasn't even a big bill back then. Like, it took 2 or 3, I don't know about you, but for me, marijuana, which was my drug, I didn't even start buying that till later. So the first things I ever wanted was just to get fresh, to wear what I thought the older guys, like my cousins and brothers and uncles, was wearing. And then maybe jewelry came, but in the beginning, it was solely shoes and sweatsuits. And then for us uptown, all the way uptown, it might have went to a dirt bike or something. But I got to a point where, as though when I was consistently buying a certain amount of work, that I had some clothes. I might go to a friend's house. I might leave out in some jeans. Like I said, I might go to my friend's house, put on a brand new Sergio Zacchini sweatsuit and some Prince tennis shoes or some Elise. Something like that. Whatever was fashionable at the time, but I couldn't bring it in my house.
How much would an outfit cost?
Sergio Zacchini, damn.
Back then, like some of them top joints I bought, I remember, man, paying $175, $250 for certain ones, and like I didn't have the booster connects. Maybe I was too young. Like I don't know about down y'all, and like I know y'all had boosters that used to come to y'all neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't like they came to my neighborhood. I just didn't have the luxury. I didn't know about no boosters back then. So I take my little work or whatever I'm dealing with, you know, in the beginning, you know, my amount of drug was 7 grams a quarter. You get a quarter back in the day for $250. You might make $500. I'm gonna save $250 to go back, and I'm gonna take that $250 or $300 that I got. If I jug a little bit to get a couple extra, I'm going straight to Georgetown and I'm gonna get fresh. That's all my mind really was on at that time. Now, I had cousins from far southeast. They may not have had the luxury to go down Georgetown and do this, but they made their little $250 or more and more and more. They had to put food in the refrigerator. The economic situation was different. So, like, that's why I said that, damn, I thought it was interesting that I had a brother up here, sitting up here with me while we was talking. It was from Northwest, because it actually triggered me to remember certain things.
Hey, look, you briefly spoke on like marijuana. How much in the 80s was like a whole pound of marijuana going for?
I don't even remember, bruh. Like, marijuana wasn't my thing until maybe the 90s. Like, I didn't start even smoking weed until 90 or not. Like, when he went into the 91, that reminds me of the and DC Niggas for Life NWA was the soundtrack mixed with whatever the go-go band at the time was. At that point in time, smoking marijuana wasn't no important thing. Like me, it's a daily thing now. I'm a 420 dude. Like, marijuana is a part of my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a part of the culture I live right now. So that means that when I gotta pay mortgage, car notes, phone bills, and all, like I got a certain amount of my monthly budget that I spend on marijuana. It wasn't like that as a kid. And then I sold some weed when I was younger, so most of the time I smoked for free anyway.
But you always gotta remember, like growing up too, PCP was like that was the shit in DC.
That was a hell of a thing in DC.
And that would make DC so violent too.
One of them.
That was one of the reasons why DC was kind of like violent. Dudes who smoke, like Yaka young niggas, man. And then to his point, when that music came, it's like something about that 90s, when that West Coast shit, like a lot of it, like I'm like Tiffany W, we was on Scarface hard.
Yeah, so we was too.
Yeah, so like that, a lot of that down south shit, and then they were just like straight murder, death, kill type shit. So it was just the whole vibe that changed, you know what I'm saying? Then we getting, because, you know, our uncles, they started off with 38s, and then when 89, when they started getting Glocks and shit, then shit changed and we get assets.
I mean, so much so the police changed their gun.
The police changed their gun.
Yeah,
so
that's
now,
how the police got the Glock.
You know, I might, this is no exaggeration, man. I might go home to my grandma's house, duffel bags, Lorton bags, them big green
them
bags.
army joints.
Army bags. One joint full of money, other joints, them New York niggas would come in, Mac 10s, you know what I'm saying? The ones that shoot the 45s, Tech 9s, the SKs, all this stuff. You start seeing that stuff now. And then you, young dudes smoking that water, man. Dudes like zombies, just.
But what was so popular about PCP that had everybody doing it though? Like, what was the thing about it?
Everybody wasn't doing it. He just saying that it was a big issue. Like, if you went on a block and there was 20, 30 dudes on the block, 20, 30 dudes went high off PCP, I think it would have ended the game if everybody was on PCP.
I don't know. I kind
How
of
many?
back. Everybody wasn't on it.
I'm
Was
done.
popular?
They say everybody was
very popular.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Nutbo was very popular. It was a nut like, and, you know, every part of DC you see somebody lunching out getting butt. That's why the name called butt naked. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But when is you talking about that? Because now I'm gonna push back on you and just memory,
Like
right?
93,
Butt naked is like
92,
an 88 to 85 thing for me in my recollection.
that's what I'm saying. They were smoking that a lot back then. But
but in the 90s, like for an example, let me speak about my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, only 2 or 3 dudes smoke boat. Now, when you said big, and I was saying big and agreeing with them because we working it out in my memory, it was a big thing because it was a hell of a money maker starting in the 80s and went into the 90s. But there's always been a population then and now. There's like you got functioning PCP heads now that work. I know niggas that drive metro buses that smoke juice when they get off. I don't know how they do it, but I'm just
that shit's still moving though.
Yeah. Now I ain't trying to get in all that. I'm just saying that it's never died.
I agree. It's like, it wasn't overall. But
okay, no. I ain't even
What is
dispute
juice
you.
though? What is juice?
PCP, it's just a slang.
I'm just talking fast.
Yeah, it's just slang.
But a difference in our culture and our part of the country is that certain places like California, it was cool. It was always frowned upon here. Would you agree with that? If you was on boat and you was a boathead and you was lunching,
you right.
something was up with you. Like in certain places like in California, they'll lift weights, walk around, hang out, smoke sherm. That's juice. That's still PCP. You dig what I'm saying? So and tell me if you agree. I don't think PCP was ever a cool drug here.
Nah,
That's all I want to say.
I agree.
So it was never like a fake
Like
marijuana.
we can sit in here right now. All of us going. We don't know what our personal life is, but if we all sit in here and we smoking a J, it's socially cool right here. In some environments, a line of cocaine is socially cool. For me and him and our generation, a line of cocaine ain't socially cool. So it depends on where you at. It's almost like people say you gotta read the room.
Nah, for sure.
Right.
Definitely.
So you saying cocaine wasn't cool to do in your generation?
Cocaine ain't socially cool in none of my generations. Now, and I'm not gonna
black
say people don't do it, but in my subculture where I'm from, no, so powder cocaine ain't socially cool. I'm not saying that it's not socially cool somewhere else. Me and him ain't do it. Our circle in jail ain't do it. Coming up, we didn't aspire to do it. If you did it in our circle between 12 and 20, you was borderline crackhead already to us. Like, if it wasn't weed, like he mentioned something about some of my buddies smoked PCP, and in my life, they were the most violent of us.
No, that's crazy because I feel like during what the 80s or 90s, a lot of people that was on crack though. So you were saying that it was never cool to do crack, being that it was like supposed to be on somebody.
Crack ain't never been cool nowhere.
Especially
Crack.
for young niggas.
I'm talking about powder cocaine. Some people do socially do powder cocaine.
No, I'm just saying for it to be like a popular thing to do though. Didn't it hit hard? Crack never hit
is
hard.
always some crackhead shit. Can you think of any image in your head where a nigga say, man, nigga, crackhead, that would ever be cool? I'm just asking. I ain't putting you on the spot. I'm asking for a reason. Like, can you think of any situation where motherfucker roll by in a Benz 550, be like, man, that joint like that nigga driving that joint a crackhead? You would not. Let me answer it for you. You never have seen a situation.
Now, cause listen though, when I think crackhead though, I'm thinking more of even like past tense, more of like an older tense. Like I don't even know like how many people I would call a crackhead in today's time.
Pipehead, junkie, clucker. Which word you use? I got 1,000 adjectives.
Yeah,
Which one? I want to
I'm
do.
just saying, from what I heard, for it to hit hard the way it did, you would think it'd be like a popular thing. Cause they said it hit hard, so you saying it never hit hard.
No, it hit.
That shit hit hard as a
How it
bitch.
hit? Cause I ain't
So
never
if it
hit
hit,
but a
no, I'm just saying, you don't understand if it hit hard.
No,
then-
it hit the community. He
Yeah.
said it hit the community.
So if it hit the community hard, I mean a lot of people did
like
it.
a brick. No.
That's
It
what
don't
I
mean
was
that
hearing.
a lot more people did it. Although a lot more people did do it, but a lot of people did it that became crack addicts. Those are crackheads.
Would
Those
you say
are
it's just,
junkies.
so would you say it's more just devastating? It was more devastating than more a popular thing to do?
Let me see. I'm gonna
The
tell you,
crack
let me
era
say
was
this, Eyon.
devastating.
It's like this.
sure.
Growing up, a dope fiend would have more respect than a crackhead.
In my culture,
In my culture.
hell yeah, you
know
will
what
still
I'm
respect some
A dope
dope fiends.
fiend.
Some.
fiend.
And what's a dope fiend though?
A person that use heroin.
The insurance, to
Shoot your arm.
Because you gotta realize some like the dope fiends that I grew up, these niggas were gangsters. Like
Even when they
get
became
sick,
gangsters, they were still
when they
on
get
drugs,
sick,
some of
If
them.
you playing with them, they will kill you. They will fuck you
Fast.
up. A crackhead, it literally will suck your dick. You know what I'm saying? To get
I
high.
mean, except for
You know
the
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
1%
nah, that's real
of
shit,
the
though.
crackheads that's
Yeah,
a
nah,
hybrid
that's
of what
real
you
shit.
talking about. But the regular pipehead crackhead, yeah.
Nah,
They
yeah,
They gonna
yeah.
steal. They gonna
Yeah.
steal. They gonna steal their child Nintendo
Yeah.
before they whip out and take your shit.
Nah, I get that.
Some of them. We talking about the super. We talking about the general consensus of it. I know crackheads. I'm not gonna mention who I'm talking about. I know dudes that had dope habits, crack habits, and other habits that were some of the biggest gangsters in town. And after they kicked the habit, became another big gangster again. So I don't want to mention it because some people be like, "Damn, that nigga was a crackhead. That nigga was a dope fiend." Just because of what they've been through, that ain't what I'm saying. I'm talking about the overall general consistency. If we grew up and you think about a movie, for an example, like Boys in the Hood, if you ever seen it, you know, at the end of the movie, all the characters fade away. If you go and put all of us, just our generation of guys, into a image, and out of 50 of us, maybe 6 or 7 of us became crackheads. That's just to make more of us will go to jail and die than before coming crackheads.
Yeah.
I mean, and now, because I'm using that crackhead term going back to the day, that ain't really no big thing now. Dudes is on K2 and PCP and dope, fentanyl more than they is on crack. Like, yo, crackheads are, the government don't even chase cocaine like they chased it back in the day no more. It's just a regular societal norm that's a problem. It's not even killing. They paying attention to other things, but your crackheads has never been your cool guys. Not too much. I don't know a cool crackhead other than a guy that's a crackhead and he just cool with me, bro. Am I going too hard?
for
Like,
sure.
I cannot remember. No cool junkies.
All right,
Like,
so
we
you
had
never
junkies
you never had no crackheads in your family?
a bunch of them. All of them are black sheeps.
You never had none of them was cool.
Cool with me, cool because I knew him before he was a crackhead. He can't come in my mama's house. He can't drive my mama's car. He can't be in no family home when no one's home. He has no keys. We trust him no type of way. He's a crackhead. He started stealing the Nintendos and the CVS and the VCRs and shit. Like crackhead uncle from the 5th floor. Everybody know how you deal with them. Bro, they come around when there's supervised and it's supervision around. Like that's still my uncle. Some of them are still my aunties.
Now it's crazy. Now
They can't be
this
trusted.
that's because so I had a close member in my family. You feel me? That was on crack. So I'm just thinking about like how I came up and what I seen with my own eyes compared to like what you saying. Like
How
right
did
now.
y'all deal with him, if I can ask?
Like it was a lot of love there though. So it was like it was trying to give like an opportunity, but
Did he still live in the family house? Was he somewhere alone? Was there anything valuable around?
I mean at times like he did, stay with us for real. He stayed with me.
Yeah, like one of my uncles, they lived in my grandmama's house. That's cool, but in my other grandmama's house, my mama, you can't have no habits where you gonna violate. You violate one time, it's almost like biting the hand that feeds you. Know what they say. You can't do that on my mother's side of the family. On my father's side of the family, although like I don't want to make it seem like, because I'm talking for people in public. You see, I don't want to make it seem like my father's side of the family's fucked up. My mother had a drug habit on my mother's side of the family. I'm saying if you had any type of problem that affected your integrity, you did not have free roam around our house. That's what I'm saying, and I can't make that sound no better. If you had anything that affected your integrity, you was still to touch something that ain't yours. Not only you couldn't come around, the first go around, you're gonna get fucked up.
You can't come around?
Nah, bro, I can't sugar. Nah, you can't come around, bro. Yeah, like you could go around, but coming in my grandmama's house, like the castle, the joke that everybody from the country come up and start their city life in, you can't come. You're a thief. You're a drug addict. You no longer operating with integrity, and that don't got nothing to do with religion or background or nothing. It's the way you behaving.
Even if that was your family member, even if it was a family member,
you get my people, bro. You don't steal from family.
I'm just saying, if it was your brother, same thing.
This ain't my rule. I don't know how I would have dealt with it. I'm saying my grandmother made the rules, and even the men in the house followed them. Killers.
Don't nobody violate granny rules.
Don't
nobody violate granny rules. I ain't gonna hold you.
I mean, and my grandmother was one of them grandmothers from the South that had extended family. All the big time D-boys in the town at the time in the 70s and 80s was at her house. So you could play with her if you want to. I mean, at least from my part of town. And when I'm saying my part of town, Shock, I'm talking about dudes that was in y'all part of town too. You know what I'm saying? Dudes like Eddie Mathis and all them dudes was citywide. They wasn't just a neighborhood dudes. Dudes like Frey, Wookie, all them type of dudes, they was in my grandmama's house. Like certain rules, old school DC rules, things that we did, like crabs and beer on Sundays, Redskins games, man. It's certain rules, it's just DC rules, bro. You know what I mean? Sitting outside, like that shit that people see, like people from other places come in and say, oh, they sitting outside in the alley. Sitting outside and congregating is something that we did here. You know what I mean? I don't want to go too far back into when, times when it's good for certain people, but, you had a bunch of people in the house and, it's hot or cold. So what did they do? They sat outside. That's why if you go back and do old DC history and you see places like Southwest DC, they say alley dwellers. They weren't alley dwellers because they was bums and peasants. They congregated out the way of people that was bothering them. The man.
Nah, it was just...
But you ain't stealing out the house and coming back around, bro. You can't steal out my cell in jail. Like, you steal from me? Come on, bro. You ain't got to be a cracker. Don't touch nothing that don't belong to you. That's old. You ain't got to be from DC to understand that. And if you don't understand that, there's people that'll help you understand it. Just like you got special ed in school, like they'll help you. They might help you physically, but you gonna understand that you don't touch it.
I mean, I get it. I feel like I get it, but I feel like you making it seem like
I am.
Like,
That's biblical. He going biblical with that
like,
shit.
I get what you saying. I
Don't bite that hand.
I'm smashing the gas now that you saying.
yeah, like no apology, no second chance.
I don't
That's
give
how
a
you
fuck.
come.
And now that I'm an adult, it's the same way. You can't come around. That same uncle that I remember from back in the day. He don't play with me. Like he done stole from my cousin, which is he don't steal from, he don't play with me. Why? Because I never put him in a position. He can't. If I give him $5, right? And this not me talking bad. I'm telling you how I done dealt with people like this in my family. If I give them $20, like Shaka said people did when you send them to the store, for us not to never had no problem, that's yours.
Yeah, you can give it to him.
Cause he not coming back, bro. Like, I don't know if you dealt with a real crackhead. Like, I had real crackheads in my family. If you saying that he can still come around, he can't be a down and dirty dirtball crackhead. Dirtball, down and dirty crackheads that have violated anything, they cannot come around, bro. My grandmama ain't going for it. I just can't see no type of way how they like. You got to have nowadays. We got iPhones and PlayStations and handguns and shit in the house. Nah,
they
bro.
coming up quick and
Nah, bro.
they coming up quick.
Nah, bro. No,
Shit was
we
heavier
move
back
on,
then.
man. Fuck no. He better get the fuck on for somebody hurt his ass. I'm gonna stick dogs on him. We got pit bulls and cane corsos, bro. You gonna be minced meat.
I don't even know how they was picking up TVs and shit. Them TVs back in the day was heavy as a bitch.
Bro, I got an uncle that just stole a transmission, bro. Like I done seen that wild shit. Like I don't play that shit, but anyway.
Different animal.
Yeah. I mean, and he brought up the difference between crackheads and dope fiends, and I agree with that. Even the dope fiends that we had in the family and around, we had a better understanding with them. Crack turned you, to my knowledge, turned people into some different type of people. I seen people that did things when they was on crack that they would never do in their life. Well, let's move on past crack.
But listen to last before we leave though, is that like the worst reaction though that you seen from a drug? Like you feel like crackheads kind of got it like the worst?
I could get what you're saying. I don't know
I'm
exactly
asking, I'm not
for the
even saying, I'm
cause, but
asking.
he made me, I'm getting you. But he made me remember something. Some of the things that the crackheads would do was below immoral. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done seen people sell their kid. Like, man, some of the people, some of that shit I seen, and I sold crack. I sold dope too. So I guess I can speak from both. It's certain things that I seen crackheads do that I just ain't never seen dope fiends do. It's nothing that I seen a crackhead wouldn't do. I done seen bras get down on their knees and suck dog dicks. Not because I was into it or I wanted it done. I done walked up in the neighborhood and this was some other sick motherfucker was doing. For the thrill of, all right, I'm gonna get her some crack. Bro, you don't see that type of shit with other addictions, bro.
Would you say that's the craziest thing you've seen though?
Hold on, Big Mouth.
Might be.
All right.
Now we was talking about like all the like crack, how people was doing a lot of wild things off of trying crack or doing crack or whatever. What's the wildest
Crack
thing?
addiction.
Yeah, what's the wildest thing you seen somebody do for crack?
I'm still sitting there thinking though, but when we left off, we was talking about, certain female crack addicts, performing oral sex on animals like dogs and shit like that. Yeah, but being paid to do so. That's some of the wildest thing that I could think of. But Lord, this is like, you got me thinking about some stuff that happened in the 80s and the 90s, bro. So I'm going back that far when the crack phenomenon was just so crazy. Like, I don't know if it's still like that, with people that's on that now. And I be hearing a lot of people acting like, the crack ain't this and ain't that, but you still got neighborhoods that's full of crackheads.
So like people was actually saying, yo, go suck the dog dick for some crack.
When you say people was actually saying that, when you say it was people actually saying that, I don't know if people was doing this all over, but anybody that was around in the 80s and the 90s done heard of such and such, some type of shit like that. People was doing all type of degrading things to people who had crack addiction. So, like, that's just the wildest thing that I could think of. But you got people, you talk to people who live in them environments where people exploit other people's weaknesses and shit. You know what I mean? You ain't got to just look at humans. Like, I know dudes that done set cats on fire because they smoking crack. Like, you could just have, crack just was a hell of a thing back then. I don't know about now,
like,
but
a lot of times, like my childhood friends, right? Their mother used to babysit you when you was like 9, 10, 11. Then a year later, you start hustling, and she gets strung out. Now she come up and listen, baby. Give me a dime and I'm gonna let you fuck me. I'm gonna suck. You fucking grown. You need to be kids, fucking grown women. You know what I'm saying? And like, damn, this lady used to babysit you. Now she out here scratching, like trying to suck you off in the alley just to get a hit. You know what I'm saying? And you get desensitized to it because you a kid. You fucking a grown woman. You know what I'm saying? To the point, like, I'm no like.
We say grown though, like how it was grown.
Dirty. Like, dirty. Grown.
They used to babysit.
They used to babysit you.
Yeah,
like,
grown.
dirty. Like, mid-30s and stuff like that. And it got to the point, it's like, when I got like 15, 16, I wasn't messing with no girl my age no more. You know what I'm saying? Because you get a little bit of money. So, like, you start off having sex with these grown women. Now you get a bit of money. Now your girlfriend might be 19.
that's how it was for me. Exactly
I'm
what
just-
you said. Yeah.
That's crazy
My
though.
girl
'cause
ended up being 19, 20. When I went in, my girl was 20.
You 16.
I was 16.
I'm just saying, Sexy Red be getting a lot of flack though. So for you to saying like back in the 80s, the 30-year-olds giving it up to the young people, like
He talking about some crackheads. He He ain't
True,
talking
true,
about regular
true,
30-year-olds.
true.
Don't
Yeah.
get it twisted. Like, I ain't
That's
trying
not
to keep
normal.
They
correcting
doing
you.
that for
That's-
dope.
yeah.
Yeah, that ain't
See,
no
that's
regular.
not
You're
no
not gonna
normal
stop
stuff.
it. You're not
Yeah.
gonna stop your car to light and holler at her. But
bet.
this is not the lowest down crackhead. Well, at least in
Nah,
my back
nah.
day.
So
Like,
y'all was
remember
catching
when-
them before they got
Before
that
they-
bad.
exactly.
Oh, I was about to ask you right now. I'm about to say, y'all hit
like you
crackheads,
gotta,
but
you
how
gotta
long?
because somebody gonna be looking at it, remembering, and it wasn't like that. Like we had a bunch of them that just got on
Just
it.
got started.
I mean, that's a predatory behavior, but you not gonna even allow nobody to barter product for trade.
Yeah.
If you on you know what I mean?
Nah, for
Is
sure,
that
sir.
do I need to break that down?
Nah,
Yeah, but
for
he had
sure,
a lot of
so,
pretty,
yeah,
he had a
so
lot
if
of
you
pretty
know, you
girls
know
in the
type
city,
nigga.
right? And they start off smoking booties. Like
Yeah.
they get the Newports and put the crack.
And some
in
of them was the bad
and
bro.
these was like
That's called a woody.
That's a woody.
Where we from?
yeah, we call that woody back in the day.
Take the cigarette.
Not cigarette.
Or
Like you might
weed.
roll a blunt.
A blunt or
you
weed.
might put
A lot
some
of
weed
people
in
do
there,
it,
then
though.
you sprinkle the coke
Crack,
on it,
yeah.
crack on it. Like they call it smoking dirty down south. Like a lot of
Or
my
like
Florida
lace.
buddies,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
same
like-
thing.
Yeah,
That's
lacing
exactly
the
what it
nigga.
is.
Basically,
Yeah.
if they don't know type
That's
shit.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
No, some people know. Like them niggas down south, like Florida, smoke dirty. Them niggas up in New York was smoking. They smoke the same thing that the people from where they call it. They don't pronounce it. Woody is still a woody though.
No, yeah. But I'm saying some motherfuckers definitely. I've heard stories about motherfuckers hitting them joints and getting laced and ain't know what they.
Yeah,
was
but
smoking.
those the people that got it unknowingly. I'm not saying that's
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
I'm talking about people that knowingly
Oh,
do
yeah.
it. I know girls, 13 to 23, that got a lace joint, whether it was with crack or PCP, and that started their terrible journey. I know those stories too, so I dig what you're saying.
But to clear it up, a lot of times, like we was catching them when they was still.
Soon as they started touching it,
smoking.
like they weight
they
still
was
there.
bad, pretty. They just was on it, but they was crackheads. They was just high.
Yeah, you might not call them a crackhead
You wouldn't
yet
call
if
them
you
a
ain't know,
crackhead,
but that's
but
that.
yeah.
I mean, they tricking already. They willing to do something strange for not some change, but what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a hell of a thing in the 80s and the 90s, bruh. Like, you got dudes right now that lost the love of their life in the 80s to that glass dick. You dig what I'm saying? Like, don't forget, like, dude, I was in jail with dudes in the hole where you just listen to stories. I heard, like, them dudes that's a generation before us that really got blindsided by that crack. Like I said, I ain't mentioning no names. I know some gangster dudes, some legendary dudes that we mention their names now. They came home from prison, Lawton. They was in Lawton in the 70s. They came home in the 80s, and the bad bitches that they knew still looked like they wasn't all the way gone. They was on crack, and they started blowing crack smoke in their mouth. And now this gangsta ass nigga saying, what the fuck is that? And before you know it, he a crackhead. Now, them was the crackheads that was dangerous. Them ones that came from jail, like them Lawton niggas. I won't go too deep, but I remember they wasn't your regular cracker. They was like dope fiends on crack. Am I right or wrong, bro? Like they would
drop your ass,
bro. They would take your shit. They would rob you.
Yeah.
Like, but that's a little bit of a
Dope
deeper
fiends
breakdown.
on crack is crazy.
I'm making that up though because you just giving y'all the explanation of how the dope fiends had a little bit more sinister reputation. Like the dope fiends in our era, I don't know about this era, but when we was coming up, we were taught by trial and error to respect and watch the dope fiend more than the crackhead. In general, because I do know some crackheads, like I just told you, like some penitentiary crackheads that came home and just got hooked on the wrong drug, but they still thought they was that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I seen them. Like we had to deal with a couple of them. Like a couple of them came home and fake tried to tell us we couldn't hustle in a certain area for a minute. We dealt with one of them. Another one of them got on it, and as he got on it, he was fighting to not be a crackhead, and he still wanted to rob and pressing the weaker ones of us. He might say, "Shorty, let me hold this," and we had to deal with his ass. And you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Shit, now, when it come to Eyon though, like who's the biggest, like who you respected the most coming out the federal system or coming out the jail system? Who you respect the most?
Me, I'm gonna jump out there first on that one. Like, I can't really say who I respect the most because the dudes that I respect in the mind, and for different reasons. It would be a collective. Some of the people, man, I learned bits and pieces of physical survival from. Some of them I learned how to play chess on a chessboard to figure certain out. And, I can name some of these dudes in my life, starting from the beginning, going up. In the beginning, when I first came in, it probably would have been one of my closer buddies, like a guy named Andre Brown, Dominique Stewart, Raphael Parker. Some of these guys that was my age that had a little bit more experience in jail with me. When I first hit Lawton, it was guys like Gator and Mario, dudes that had names in the penitentiary. Later on, I met people like Antone White and Tough Slim, these dudes that had names all over the system. So I can never just say one, because at every phase of my life, I met somebody, even to this brother right here, at a point in my life, and we in the same age bracket where he still taught me something. Remember, before the cameras was rolling, I said whether he knew it or not, this was the only person I knew that had life without parole. That means you never going home. That means you going to die in this box right here. I only had 15 in life. My problem was, can I make parole? Can I find a way to get out? And even a person like this that I love and respected, and that you see he pulled up with me to here today, we still got a relationship years and decades after prison. So for me, I just named a couple names that people might know, but it's too many names to name. And even in that fast little roll call right there, I left out a bunch of names of dudes that helped me along the way. And the reason why I say the dudes helped me along the way, because contrary to what we was talking about earlier, where I said the guy that interviewed me, he had some sensational headlines and titles. I've never been a shot caller. I've never been a gang leader. And even if I was in a position to ever be one, that's not what I ever aspired to be. A person that's a shot caller and a gang leader in prison, no disrespect to the ones that ain't fucked up, but you this close to being hot, because if you keep hanging out with the lieutenants and all this other shit, people can create rumors for you. I don't know where it started, but some of my older homies created a rule where you couldn't go talk to the police by yourself to protect you from that. So as a collective, people that I looked up to the most was the thorough and the elite guys from where I'm from, those who I respected the most.
You before we get into that, because we definitely need to touch into that, but you mentioned earlier and just now with the lingo with shot callers and certain terms like that. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking DCR rejected a lot of that West Coast gang lineage?
First, not to correct you, but I just want to make a point. I don't know why we necessarily rejected none of that, but it ain't just a West Coast thing. For some reason, the District of Columbia, going all the way back to the Black Panthers and the Black Nationalist movement, according to people that came before me, activists, historians, writers, they said the structure just wasn't something the DC guys welcomely accepted. And I'd have had conversations with brothers like this brother and other brothers that I know that I mentioned a minute ago, that we met guys from Chicago, and you could correct me too, right? We met guys from Chicago that was in a Muslim community with us. So for me, there's a guy named Raja. I don't know where he's at right now, but he was a co-defendant of Jeff Fort. For people who don't know who Jeff Fort is one of the only, if I'm not mistaken, black domestic terrorists that's supposed to allegedly taking money from a foreign country, Omar Gaddafi in Libya, and he's now doing life in ADX about it. But I met his co-defendant. As a co-defendant, he's an older guy, so he can speak kind of direct. And one day we had a conversation, and I was a young guy, and I was bad-mouthing gangs and shot callers, similar to what I do now, on a more respectable level. And he responded firmly. And he was like, you guys out of Washington can't even put together a team to rob a bank. Y'all can't think together. Y'all gonna kill each other first and foremost. And he began to, after he did the tongue lashing, which of course he had to be cool enough with us to do that, he explained how before they were Muslim and before they had black power, that even their gangs were structured. So I'm never gonna diss gang culture, organization, or structure, but it wasn't our thing. And to throw it out there to try to answer your question, if you go back to the history of DC, 1790, where 60% came from Maryland and 40% came from Virginia, and this little project was started, and it's the third capital of the United States, because y'all do know it's the third capital, right? Yeah. New York was the first, Pennsylvania was the second. Right.
And that's crazy. I ain't know that.
Yeah, when with the Liberty Bell, that's when they was the capital.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania militia chased Congress out of the state, which is why D.C. is a city, because Congress and the government of the United States never wanted to have the capital of the country in another state where a state can override or tell them to get the fuck out.
They needed a neutral territory. So
that's why I don't believe that D.C. will ever be a state. But to kind of finish my point, D.C. was the runaway slave shelter headquarters Mecca. And I believe that going back to slavery and rebellious things, I believe that a certain type of culture like that has preceded and exists in the District of Columbia forever. And I don't know why and I don't know how, but if you go back generation to generation, subculture to subculture here, even back to the race rise in 1919, where white militias and white supremacist groups all over the country, but I want to shout out Detroit and that other place. I forgot, you probably know. It wasn't no whole bunch of white people killing black with the race wars. DC is one of the only places where more white people died than black, and I ain't trying to make it a white and black thing right now, but I'm trying to make it an organization thing. Even though I said that the gang thing didn't do certain things here, the black man from the DC area that came back from World War II had been trained in organization, which I said we missed out from gang culture, and handling a firearm. So when they said you couldn't get guns here, which is one of the main reasons guns were illegal here, the black people from Baltimore, shout out to Baltimore, armed the black people from DC, which were mostly men from all over the country. DC is a boiling pot. Most people from DC that say they from here and they DC natives could have only been here 3 or more generations prior because no one was here then. So I don't get into that argument either, but to finish making my point, those black men that was here that fought back then, they were military men from all over, St. Louis, California, New Orleans, but they planted their seed here and they had kids here, and some of people like me and him to say we natives, we came from somewhere else, which is why I had the conversation with you saying, oh, my peoples came from Carolina, but before Carolina came from Alabama. Anyway, when they fought, they were military guys, so they fought here like that. And I mean, I think it's some type of pride that DC natives, no matter what generation your people came here, that it's just unique to this place and no other place. And I think whether we go to the army or we go to prison, we carry that swag with us, whether it's, a humble pride or it's an obnoxious, vulgar pride. But that shot caller shit, that gang shit and all that structure that we talking about, it don't take root here. I don't know. Maybe the soil just ain't right.
I like that you mentioned something right there. I want to try and use that to transition. I don't know how comfortable you are talking about that, but the DC guys and being very, very motivated behind where y'all come from and holding true to y'all stance. Do you think that played a part with the organization of the DC Blacks?
DC, can you answer that? Or you want me to answer that?
Shaka, you got.
I want to hear what he said. I'm kind of putting him on the spot, but I got you on that. But I wanted to ask him this before.
I mean, the whole DC Black thing was foreign to me. Like when I went to Lawton, shout out to, he's dead now, but one of my mentors down Lawton was Ben O'Connor. He was a legendary figure. Like he grew up in the era, in the Cadillac era, where he done killed ABs and everything, and just being a black man. And that system, man. So he was telling me all about the feds, about this DC Black stuff, And it didn't really register in my mind because like Eyon said, I didn't grow up in a culture that's gang oriented, So that's like a foreign idea to me. But when you go to the federal system, they got R&D. It's a process called classification, And once they get you that 007 and their name and all the other stuff, they ask you who you with. And I'm like, who the fuck you mean, who you with? I'm with myself. You know what I'm saying? I see you got prospect. You Muslims? Yeah, Muslim. You from DC, so are you gonna be with the Muslims or you DC Black? I said, man, I'm from DC. That's I don't know how to answer that from DC. So on my paperwork, he answered for me. You're a DC Black. You know what I'm saying? So when I go through the yard like that, I'm just my homies, and the structure of it is just like it's the politics of it. That's something, and Eyon can elaborate more on it, but as far as the origin of it, it's like they systematically try to indoctrinate you to how the system is, the ecosystem of the prison is. You know what I'm saying?
Who asked you that question though?
It's the SIS, the lieutenant.
Yeah,
S.
so the system indoctrinated this
like a CO of high level.
Yeah.
Like a
The
lieutenant.
SIS like an FBI.
So the system created DC Blacks?
You finished?
The name, the system created the name.
The Bureau of Prisons, the administration of the Bureau of Prisons created this thing called DC Blacks because I want to refer back to how y'all asked about the organization and the gang shit and the shot caller. We don't come from that. Not now, not going back to the 60s. I don't know about the 50s and before. I try to go into there, but I'm going to stop at the 60s to go back farther than anybody in the room probably care to go back, all right? But the black people that came from the DC Department of Corrections into the feds was different than any other blacks. Remember, your gangster go hard black people that are in prisons, most of them are in state prisons. Because of the crimes committed and because state's gonna send all of you to a state prison without the feds. The guys that was coming from Lawton and Washington, D.C., they gonna ask why, they gonna rebel, they gonna buck, they gonna litigate, and if they got to, they gonna tear the prison up. This was not a regular thing from the black inmate. I'm gonna use the black inmate. I don't use the term inmate because of a personal reason. But when I say the black inmate, is the black prisoner that was coming into the feds was not built like this. Okay? These guys, most of these guys had some type of religious background or black nationalist background. What I mean by that is that they were mostly Moors Americans. They had a Bay or an ill connected to the end of their name, or they were from the Nation of Islam, okay? Remember, when you talk about Moorish Americans and the Nation of Islam, although it may not be important to none of us in this room, they are two of one of the main forces that change rights, be it in prison or in the free world, for most of the people that look like us, excluding the civil rights era, the Martin Luther Kings, and I'm talking about regular stuff. The reason you don't eat a bunch of pork in prison every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is because of these guys. The reason why a person can get a Ramadan box during Ramadan is because of these guys. Excuse me for making this extreme point, but the reason that you should be sexually protected in prison if you are homosexual is because of these guys too. One of the people that filed one of these cases was out of Texas. So not to get too deep into all that, these people that came in, the Fed said, we don't know what to call them. Are they this? Are they that? Are they not? But what we know is that they are a problem. Whether they right or wrong, they're going to stand up. And when you could say Crip, Blood, GD, Vice Lord, Gangster, Disciple, you couldn't say that about us. And they had to identify according to them, not according to me. They had to identify us as some type of group because we was a problem group. So they said, okay, those are not just the blacks, but the DC blacks. And keep in mind, the guys that don't adhere to or affiliate or claim to be a gang member from some other state, let's say Florida, if they not out of a crew in Florida that they can name, although it's not a big known popular thing, the BOP will still say Florida black or New Orleans black. If they can't, they gonna call you something. And just so happen it's stuck with us, and some of us don't respect the name at all, don't honor it. Some of us don't play with it at all, and then some of us kind of like embrace it as a thing. But remember, if it was 500 DC guys in one prison, or if it was 10,000 DC guys in all the damn prisons, that don't mean that all of them is one of us. Right. You get it? I don't sure. Like a lot of times I was like, when I said I was speaking to the other guy and his questions was, DC runs the feds. Bro, if 100 guys get off the bus, 15 or 20 of them is one of us. I don't have to break that down. Everybody that get off the bus from DC ain't one of us, because everybody that get off the bus from DC ain't with the shit. And what I mean with the shit is that if I get to the prison and shocking them saying that they playing games with the Ramadan or they playing games with the food, I'm not gonna say, I ain't with that shit. I'm with it off the break because they with it. That's not me being a follower. I'm with the shit. So everybody is not gonna automatically be in the car. We could use that term or that word right now. No, sure. And a lot of derogatory things that a person might place on a whole group can't really cover a whole group. So to answer the question about the DC blacks, the DC black is some shit that the feds made up to label us, to identify us. Not all of us, really the problem ones. Like you got guys that's from DC that they don't even bother. And I've never had the fortune to, or misfortune to be around none of them guys when something happened, because everywhere that I was at was something happened and it was a geographical thing or a group thing. Fortunately, the guys that I was around were guys that I knew from Lawton, Oak Hill, which is our juvenile zone, DC jail, or the juvenile block. Or if it was a person like him that I met already in their manhood ages, their resume was already impeccable because they had already been around dudes like Tone and Ben O'Connor and other guys that I knew and I looked up to. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but Tone had wrote me a letter saying, man, Shaka got the heart of a lion. That was his first stamp of vouch for you. And this guy that we speaking about, Tone, that's a hell of a compliment coming from him. I mean, that's like Doug Williams saying Jaden Daniels is going to be good, in my opinion, just to give you an analogy. Yeah. So that's it without talking you to death. I hope I ain't talking you to death on that.
Nah, that's all knowledge. I ain't know
for
before.
sure.
Nah, you I feel like nobody spoke on the, because I care
I mean,
about
it could get deeper.
origin.
That's my opinion. Like, I took DC blacks to take it from them and to use it. 501c3's nonprofit was the thing everybody was doing. If you were about it, and, it was almost a hustle.
Yeah.
Would you say the majority of people, how they feel about you using a DC Black's name though, being that you like
don't nobody say nothing to me about it, but in my face. But before I did it, you know how like a rapper might put a mixtape out or a D-boy might put a test out. Mm-hmm. What I did was I tested the water with guys that I looked up to, guys that was my age, and guys that had say so. And before I did it, I started playing with it like, yo, I think I'm gonna steal this and do this and make it a support system. So once I got the thumbs up from the guys that I respected, and I knew that other people respected them, because that's the issue. It's a couple guys I'm gonna mention. A couple guys had a problem with me doing it. One particular guy, he gonna know that this is him I'm talking about, but I ain't gonna say nothing bad about him. But he was like, "Yo, that DC black shit you doing, I don't like that shit. That shit hot. That shit gonna get attention on dudes, and they gonna make it like it's the AB, and they gonna bring a case." I'm gonna just speak to that one point for people that never heard me. I thought about that. Just like when I sat in here and I talked to y'all about drug dealing, I mentioned statutes of limitation. I ain't no dummy. Like, I never was the toughest, most violent nigga that was in a car with people that around. Anybody that really, truly grew to like me gonna say, man, that nigga can think. So, in the process of me thinking, when I heard that, I said, well, you not seeing the vision. But I done sent over $50,000 in money orders, books, support, hotel fees to help dudes that's still in prison, because when I was in, I didn't have that. You dig what I'm saying? So, once I realized I was doing it for free, and I was still hustling at that time. When you hustling, you making $10,000, $20,000 a month on your low end. Of course, you could send a couple $100s to the joint. And I think that for niggas that's out here getting money, that been to the joint and had niggas in the joint that was fucking with them, you should always do something for dudes in the joint. Like, I keep hearing all these suckers say, oh, he keep talking about prison. Prison is a major part of my life. Now I've been home 15 years. That means I did a third of my life in prison, scratching the juvenile thing. So anyway, the DC Blacks was just a way for me to look out for some of my buddies that was left behind, because when I first came home, I had buddies like him, my man Black, different people that was in prison, and I couldn't do some of the things for them that I seen other people could do for their friends that was in, or people that I saw that was in that had friends on the street and that could do something for them. It was just a way for me to be able to send $20 to a guy, a couple pictures or a book. And then it graduated into me sending hundreds of dollars every Friday on Free to Real Friday and so forth and so on. So it's really a bit middle finger to the system to say, nigga, we took that DC Black shit and we gonna make this shit, even though y'all wanna make it a gang, we gonna make it a support system. So if I sent $50-some thousand to prison to different buddies, and most of them was my buddies, yeah, but some of them weren't my buddies, some of them were singly selected, I think it was just me doing something, man, you know, to kind of get back to the struggle, man.
No, for sure, for sure. So even when it comes to the DC Blacks, though, you feel like is that, if you could start all over, would you have did those steps? Would you have, you know what I'm saying, created DC Blacks on the internet side?
That's the only way I would have did it, because if I was still in like a criminal behavior thing, I couldn't have done it, because then I would have made it crime. I would have made it a target for them to come at and put other people with it. So I didn't even play with it until I was totally legit.
And even on the DC Black, though, so you can't just choose, say you DC Black, though, you get chose to be DC Black.
DC Blacks don't exist. DC Blacks is like Santa Claus. Is that a better example? It's something that was made up, and since they made it up, I took it and I repurposed it. It's almost like the Instagram page was Nike, and I turned it into Reebok. It's still the same email address. It's still the same IP address. I just took it, I roughed it off, and now for all them niggas that y'all got locked up in Atwater and Victorville and Leavenworth, and they ain't getting no money, and they family died and they baby mama ran off, they might get $20 from Eyon and DC Blacks. They might get a book. If you really, really into the system and we really doing something, you might get some legal help. But I'm only one man with a couple people that's helping me. It was a way to start something. Everybody talks. Like, I was getting tired of seeing niggas saying free to real, free to real. Free to real how? That's just a statement. Like, I can't stand for a nigga to say, what's up, Slim, I love you. If I know you don't love me and you don't know me well enough to love me, you really should never tell a dude like me that you love me, because in my head, I'm automatically calculating you as a snake or a nigga to say something that you don't mean. I got a lot of different weird ways. You got to really know me to understand me. So DC Black wouldn't have been that type of situation, and I wouldn't have tried it if I thought it was going to be some legal detriment to a person like me, him, or another person that might have been with the homies. And now they want to make it, because in my visions of do I do it or do I not do it, I had a image in my head of a top guy, a middle guy, a chain of enforcers, which was the only thing that I doubted, because of course I never want to get nobody else in trouble. But when I thought about it and I spoke to people that had knowledge from my generation going back to the 60s and 70s, they all explained to me to eat. The only person who would take that serious is somebody who don't know. The feds won't even take it serious because we have no hierarchy. We have no shot caller. You know what I mean? Without a shot caller, without a bylaws, without a group or organization, all you got to do is look at other groups that been charged with group things. The Aryan Brotherhood, they got a RICO case out of 2000. Mexican Mafia got smaller cases. The Aryan Brotherhood is charged all the time in the state of California with some type of conspiracy. They have things that they use to make them a gang. We can never be a gang. Like the dude said, the old timer said, we could barely rob a bank together. That's just not what we do in D.C.
So being that y'all wasn't a gang, though, Was there ever like a known beef between DC blacks and somebody else?
Of course, there's always been known conflicts and problems and wars and even murders with groups of guys from DC. But for an example, if it's me, him, and 15 guys here in Leavenworth, right? And we got a problem with, let's say, California, right? That don't mean that every guy that's from where we from in Atwater, which is in California, or Victorville, which is in California, got a problem with any guy from California. They make it out to be this one big ass machine. It's not. The love, the camaraderie, and most importantly, the unity to come from DC dudes mostly come because most of us know each other before we go to prison. The ones that don't know each other before we go to prison, there is a form of aura or energy in the feds, specifically in the dangerous prisons, the penitentiaries. The lower you get down, the more wild shit you see. But in the higher jumps, it's almost an understood thing that we better support each other if we want to make it home. And that's not out of fear. That's almost like going to Vietnam. You had blacks and whites in Vietnam that could have called each other crackers and niggas. In St. Louis, they wasn't doing that in the jungle.
Or you just raised on something crazy. So even with DC blacks, you can't be white in DC blacks?
DC blacks is not real, and I'm not gonna, I ain't trying to correct you, but I gotta say that every time. It's not a real thing to be in. It's almost like not saying, can Debo Samuels go to the Commanders? He can go to the Commanders because the Commanders, the Washington Commanders that used to be the Washington Redskins, is a real entity. DC blacks is something that they created, but you can be a homie. Yeah. You can be with the men. I can think of 2 or 3 guys. A Muslim brother by the name of Josh. He was a white person. He was Muslim, and he was with the homies. Another guy, professional boxer by the name of Scotty. Cold-blooded white man will beat you silly, black, blue, purple, green. He was a man. I never seen nobody play him. You ever heard of Scotty?
I heard of him.
All right, well, those 2 white people that was with the homies.
But they wasn't labeled DC black.
DC black is not real. I'm not labeled DC
not
black.
An entity. Not an organization.
Wait, I thought you said in the system, it was a system that labeled it.
The system gave them a name, but
that's real.
Yeah, but they're not a group or organization of any sort. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Like
so,
when you said outside the prison setting, you like I can't like if I'm a Crip, I go leave prison, go to a neighbor and be recognized as a Crip.
He in a real organization.
That's a real organization.
Even if it's just criminal. Like even if you make it religion, I'm Moorish American. I go to the Moorish temple when I leave. When you come home from the feds and you was a DC black by the people's calling, or you was a homie like we said to each other, the only person that's going to embrace you is your homie.
So what's people ever throwing up like DC black though? Is there like a way to throw it up?
Nah, and I understand this question.
Yeah, I feel it.
I dig it. Nah, that's not that. For real, to be honest, no disrespect to you, but the idea of the question is corny. Not from you asking it because you want to know. I'm talking about for the image that I could see a motherfucker walking around like I got this shirt on, like they repping it in jail. He would be corny to us. You dig what I'm saying?
I feel like this is another thing that I feel like you got to kind of like, I ain't gonna say you got to understand, but I'm from North Carolina, so where I'm from, during my time, I go to school a lot of Bloods, Crips.
I can stop you right there for one second.
I'm seeing people on
games.
Yeah, I know it's a difference. I'm just letting you know.
Like
I'm just letting you know from my insight, though, from what I seen growing up. Like when the bell ring, people switching their fingers up, beads on their flags.
We ain't never had none of that where we from.
Yeah.
No, I ain't talking about prison. I'm talking about in our schools. Yeah. Where nobody do some shit like this.
That was a regular. At my school, that's a regular, for sure.
I can dig that. I used to visit Carolina, certain parts, not necessarily Raleigh, although I'd have been there as an adult, but I had most of my family from the country moved to Durham. So Durham and Raleigh is another one. Charlotte, right? Which are cities compared to where my family, watermelons and greens and shit grow in the yard.
Yeah.
So, I seen that, and I got cousins that came from, in some of those, even South Carolina, I had a cousin that came home. That came up here from home where he's from. He was a Blood. Another one was a GD, was from Atlanta because they moved to Stone Mountain or something. But I'm saying at no point in public school in the District of Columbia have I ever seen a gang. The only thing we ever had that I remember is niggas repping they hood, they block, they projects. And I never knew of nothing different. Like I never knew of no time that there was difference.
I ain't gonna lie. Before we get off the topic, I gotta bring this up. As far as the internet is concerned, you get the wild stories, but y'all also get, you mentioned it a little bit with the derogatory terms and the derogatory notions that they put surrounded around the homies from DC. in the way you in the YouTube streets, we call it the YouTube world, and amongst that subculture, YouTube and jail, when they bring up the DC blacks or DC brothers from DC, they bring up two things: the homosexuality and the violence. So we talked about the violence. Why do you think the homosexuality notion gets put on that card like that?
I like that question. First of all, I don't think they bring up nothing. I think a bunch of cowards and a bunch of people that didn't like groups from where we from started a narrative, and a bunch of other suckers ran with it. But after I just did this interview with a guy that had spoken to a bunch of people that professed that narrative, for some reason I asked him, hey, where you get that from? And when he told me where he got it from, he mentioned this particular person. I said, did he ever tell you that he had any problems or any firsthand knowledge of this? His answer was, I did ask him, and he said no. So I believe that a lot of derogatory things, specifically this conversation that we're having about homosexuality, come from a bunch of suckers that didn't like guys that was from Washington, D.C., and they was talking about an era in time when a bunch of guys in prison performed and participated in certain homosexual activities, whether they were from Nebraska or New Orleans. For some reason, none of these guys that talk this stuff, you'll hear him tell you any firsthand knowledge of it. But I just personally believe that the reason that conversation comes up is because Washington, D.C. sends all of its prison and criminal culture to the federal system, because you don't see guys that were locked up with guys from Washington, D.C. and state systems saying that. So let's X that out. No one who did time in Angola or San Quentin or Sing Sing says that, and there are D.C. guys that have been there. Shout out to my man Lulu, who did time in Attica. Shout out to my man Ratman, who did time in that joint in Ohio, Lucasville. You don't hear state prisoners saying that. You only hear federal prisoners, so we're gonna narrow it down to that, right? And when you hear them telling some of these stories, they telling you stories that some of their homies are telling them, right? But my point of reason why I think that some people point out some of these and may have encountered a guy that was into homosexual activity, whether it was consensual or predatory, right? Is because if you send all of your riffraff from your pocketbook snatcher to your kingpin to the feds, you're gonna see everything. Most people, for an example, let's use New York or California. Most people in the feds from New York or California or any other state are federal prisoners. They committed a crime that's a federal crime, be it white collar crime, drug conspiracy, or this. When you look at the population or the personnel that comes from Washington, D.C., you get everything from the crackhead to the kingpin. So since you get everything, yeah, you're going to see somebody that performs or participates in homosexuality. I ain't going to sit here and dismiss that. But not to throw no other group of people under the bus, let's use New York for an example. If you go to Rikers Island, you have a whole homosexual unit. Why? If everybody in prison that's gay is from D.C., why does Rikers Island have a homosexual unit? Why does California County Jail have the L.A. County Jail have a homosexual unit? Why do you have homosexual problems in any other situation? Because jail is an unnatural environment, and you got some people that do unnatural shit there from everywhere. But they want to sit here and make a topic for a conversation that even we on a panel like me and you here, we on, and we are respectable, even you've heard it. Because a lot of people need to come out and tell the truth about what the facts is. If you shut down any state system from New York to New Orleans and you send all of their people there, you would say the same thing about them. That's my basic answer to what you saying. It's a bunch of bullshit. If you pick 100 niggas out of DC, you're not gonna find no 100 niggas out of DC behaving in no immoral way. But in conclusion to what I'm saying, like I tell everybody, don't go to California or Minnesota or New York and judge the whole group of men that's from there by what the worst of the men do. You want to talk to me with respect, and we talking with respect, I ain't talking to you, I'm talking about to anybody. Talk to me about the elite men from Washington, D.C. We don't go talk about Chicago Bulls and don't talk about Michael Jordan. You don't go talk about San Francisco 49ers and don't talk about Jerry Rice. Don't come talk to me about Sam Bowie. Talk to me about Michael Jordan. So if a person coming at me sideways about this homosexual shit, then I'm going to get indifferent or disrespectful and different, because you coming at me from a perspective where either you've been misled, and once I correct you to show you that this is incorrect, if it's still some type of thing, then you just got a problem with DC. So there's some type of way I be wondering, are you a victim?
Nah, that's real shit right there. I feel like you cleared the air, and you.
I mean, it's much more to go into, but nobody that talking this shit about that they know it. I done had debates on this shit, right? Every time I give a dude an opportunity to explain how he know the DC niggas are the most immoral, all these things that he say, I say, bro, where you get that from? My man was in. Stop.
No first hand accounts. No first hand accounts.
I feel like that shit is on the internet, though.
What you think? Huh?
It is on the internet. Though. I feel like when you hear DC and you hear like jail or prison, like they say stuff like that.
It didn't become popular.
They though.
This on the internet, though. I'm just speaking on the internet.
The internet is a big place like in the world. What type of people on the internet?
Exactly. That's all I say.
That's what I would have to ask you. If you say that guns are now legal in DC, I'm gonna say where you get it from. You can't just say on the internet because some things on the internet ain't true. So when you say it's on the internet, yeah, it's on the internet. But I always say, for example, I had an argument with a dude yesterday. He said, "Man, you can't mix mannitol with this." I say, "Bro, go Google it." It say you can, but out of 30 things that say you can mix dope with mannitol, there was one all the way at the bottom that he picked. He said, "This one right here say you can't." Look at the source. When he looked at the source, he realized the source was underneath Walt Disney. So I ain't saying that to you. I'm saying that I ain't gonna take a nigga serious to say, "Hey, bro, you know they say on the internet that you can own ghost guns now." I'm gonna dismiss him. So if somebody on the internet say everybody from DC is gay, and I look at it and there's nobody of repute, nobody of credibility, I'm gonna ignore them too. Just me personally.
Yeah, I take everything with a
because
grain of
for even with that, and this is not no shot at that. This is a shot at just the people that be on the internet. Even the people that be on the internet to say derogatory things about anybody, not just DC. You got niggas on that say, niggas from the South is slow. I know that ain't true, right?
People do say that though.
I say that shit.
But I know people from the South. But I know people from the South that ain't slow. And I know a lot of places in the South.
You better start saying that. Look, I'm cool.
But I just be joking though. But I know it. You say my family from down Kingston.
But it's the same as saying that black people like watermelon and greens.
And I don't even eat no watermelon. I fucking hate that shit.
I love it. Watermelon was a thing that was a source of economic plenty.
Nah,
but I'm just saying that we all had stereotypes. We all have been taught certain things. We all was born as a blank piece of paper, bro.
For sure.
So, I'm saying that, like, when he's saying that, that's not me saying that to him. Yeah. I got a thing of saying, where you get it from? Like, I've been like, that's how I learned. I went to prison in the 9th grade, bro. Mm-hmm. Everything that I've learned has come my way by me either seeking it out or it's been, almost revealed to me like revelation. Not that I'm a prophet, but I'm just saying, like, if this brother just taught me that,
the source is important, though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
The source is important.
Your source is your life or death. You feel me? You could be led astray by your source.
For sure.
Nah, for
sure.
But
I just implore, like, this is what I'm saying. I'm asking you, and anybody that's watching us, if a nigga tell you some bad about some DC nigga, ask him where he get it from. If he say it's firsthand, then maybe firsthand, that's what happened. Like, I ain't never been worried about nobody sexually assaulting me. Like, when I be trolling niggas back, they be trolling. They be saying, "Oh, DC niggas this. Let's get on the gay shit." When they get on the gay shit, I say, "Bro, so you telling me when you walk into prison, you look for DC niggas and wonder how they gonna rape?" I ain't never walked into prison and worried about a motherfucking thing happening to me.
Nah, for sure.
So I just spent it for the dudes, like you warning everybody, stay away from who go to jail in these days, not that nobody need to go to jail, but what nigga walk in jail today? There was a guy, I ain't talking about nobody that just got in trouble, bro, okay? I'm talking about rough, tough stepper, you out here killing, you selling brick, you telling me that you think about somebody violating you that way? You don't get the fuck out of here, bro. We're in the wrong conversation. That's like a football player scared to get hit.
Nah, for real.
I just leave it there. But that's for all the niggas that want to say that slick shit. Are you in prison worried about somebody doing something to you like that? If you not worried about that, then why the fuck would you be investigating what niggas are running around raping niggas? I'm gonna just leave that one there, because I always wanted to say that the nigga be big, tough ass nigga talking about, all them niggas gonna do is rape you and break in your locker. I never had a lock. Bro, did you use a lock in the fit? Bro, I never had a lock on my locker. Nobody not taking shit. I don't live like that.
Hey, look,
what the fuck wrong with you?
Now I got a question for you, though. This is like off topic, but internet. If somebody say, yo, you an internet guy, would you take that offensive?
I can't do it now because I'm on the internet. I'm an internet guy. But it's up to you to play with me. This brother right here not gonna play with me on no internet shit. I'm not gonna play with him on no internet shit. But if this brother see me and my shenanigans on the internet, do you think he's gonna rev up because he's my brother and he's my man and say, Eyon, they playing with you on the internet? He know that I subject myself to that. So as long as it don't cross the internet, if I walk out of here right now and the nigga see me walking out of here right now and say, man, that's that nigga Eyon, you bitch ass nigga. The internet ain't on. We in real life now. I'm not saying I'm gonna crash out and go get 100 years, but that's my right to do. So am I an internet nigga? Yeah, I make tens of thousands of dollars on the internet. I stopped selling drugs to get on the internet. I told my connect, don't send me no more for me to get on the internet. But that's my right. That's what the fuck I'm doing, because it was that or me doing something, the type of lifestyle that I want. I'm not gonna get it working at Jiffy Lube. I'm not gonna get it going to school at night. I'm only gonna get it by doing certain things that allow me to magnify my time and corner something in the market. So I'm an internet, but I'll barbecue you the same time.
Do you feel like it's offensive though, just hearing the word
No,
internet?
not now. When I first got on the internet, it was, but it was similar to the thing. It wasn't disrespect. It was almost like the analogy you asked me before we cut the camera back on. OG and OT. Yeah, that was new to me, so it was uncomfortable. Once I accepted it, I cool. Now, if you say, oh, he's an internet nigga, I travel the world off the internet. Like, I make as much money on the internet that I made selling bricks before. What difference do it make? Like, I made more money on the internet than I did when I was an armed robber. Yeah, I'm an internet nigga. I could be the same internet nigga to kill you just like the nigga, the Sin City nigga did the other nigga out Vegas. If I'm stupid, the internet is just a title. I'm a driving nigga. I'm a walking nigga.
Nah, for sure. Nah, for sure.
I'm a nigga on a podcast right now. Play with air nigga to do. A Metro bus nigga will fuck you up. But it don't bother me. I embrace the internet nigga shit.
Yeah.
I like it.
So even like we said, like speaking on OG though, what does OG mean to you?
Not to be difficult, bruh. It really don't mean nothing to me, but when a person do use it, I think that an OG should be a person that earned a little bit of it. For an example, when I think OG, the first person that I used to think of when I thought OG was this guy named Linwood Gray. And I only thought about him because I read articles about this guy from the 70s and the way in which they paint the picture of how he allegedly ran his operation. But I think of a gangster dude when I think of OG. You know, Bumpy Johnson, Eddie Mathis, like guys whose names ring before you was in a playing field to even know those type of guys. Everybody shouldn't be an OG, just like everybody shouldn't be a big homie, in my opinion.
Do you think like criminal record when you think OG?
I don't, because I know some OGs that just never got caught. So nah, I don't. I like what people put criminal into, like everything I gotta be criminal to me. You know what I mean? So nah.
Let me reverse that, because I think I know where you was getting at with that, right? Can you be a square and be an OG?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's common. I think that's almost, I don't think so. But it go back to what we said earlier. It depends on the definition of the word and who's using the word. If that's not an OG.
That's what I'm about to ask you though. What is a square though? Like what would you say a square is?
To me?
Yeah.
A square is a person that don't cut no corners. That's why they a square. And what I mean by don't cut no corners, they not gonna file nothing wrong on their tax return.
Yeah.
You can't be all the way, like I can't get nothing from you in my walk of life. Now that could be deemed as ignorant or vain because I have some people in my life that I corrected myself when I thought they were squares. Because when I met them, my uncle, they were business owners and they did what you supposed to do. But I had no idea that when they was in the country, they sold moonshine, so they wasn't really squares. So, you know, a lot of times we speak from points of ignorance, and I done learned to be knowledgeable. You got to be able to identify your ignorance.
Not to say like ignorance is a thing. I just feel like
not knowing is what I mean when I'm using ignorant right now.
Yeah, I'm just
like
saying
I could be ignorant to how to drive to your house. That don't make me stupid.
Right. The only reason why I'm saying that is because, like I was telling him earlier, I'm from North Carolina, so a lot of these big names and stuff that's going on, like the culture different, the vibe different. So, like it's the first time I'm hearing that though. So it's like my point of thinking and his point of thinking is gonna be from two different ways because he's closer to the market. You feel me? So you being closer to the market, you gonna understand. You've seen it. You feel me? Like down
that make all the
south,
sense in the world, but I use Frank Matthews and Bumpy Johnson specifically for you today.
They from out of North Carolina.
They from Carolina, bro.
I told you earlier about Bumpy. I said I feel like that was a name that
for sure,
I think I've heard.
No, but I'm just saying, me reading the room, me being, remember, bro, before I talk all this prison shit and all this other shit to you, I'm an author and a journalist. I specifically said Bumpy Johnson and Frank Matthews to go to Carolina. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, not for you, for anybody that's watching, he talking DC. I went to Carolina.
Yeah, they was them Carolina boys that came on.
You know, so contrary to your New York guys that think Frank Matthews and Bumpy Johnson from New York, no, they not. They came to New York and took over.
Nah, for shit.
I'm just playing. But nah, bro.
That's a clip right there, though.
They do keep saying Bumpy from New York. I'm like, hell no, Bumpy not
Carolina.
from no damn New York. He
from South Carolina.
Yeah, they ass.
But it also look though, even during a time like this though, if it's no internet, no, you know what I'm saying, nothing to connect to people, how do you know about them people? Is that somebody you seen with your own eyes, or
Nah,
you just
before my time? I'm a reader. I'm a nerd, bro. I like.
So you had to read about him. He was in the
before
newspaper.
The law books, and not only that
Folklore.
though. Remember, he
That's
just took it out my
folklore
mouth.
for
When you lay on them
you in that
prison tears,
environment.
like back in the day, them prison tears, you heard these names. If you like me, I'm a student of the game. Like I was really interested in crime and gangsters and
So
all.
somebody
Like,
was relaying this information to you though?
no, you pick it up, bro. You collect it. You dig what I'm saying? Like you might hear about it. I didn't hear about Bumpy Johnson until I probably was in the prison system, though, right? I didn't know no Bumpy Johnson when I was no younger. Like the only gangsters I really knew when I was young and this gangster that might have been on TV. No, that's incorrect because they had movies about Bumpy Johnson. So I heard about Bumpy Johnson, but I couldn't sit down and talk like I'm talking to you right this minute.
What's the time on
You know
it?
what I'm saying?
3 minutes. All right, bet.
And then afterwards, I did most of I grabbed most of my information from reading, And then I'm a dude that worked in the law library, hung out in the law library. You find out a bunch of gangster criminal shit reading law books. Like most people don't do it. I don't know how I did it, but aside from going to them law books for what we needed, I go do leisure reading them. Just be like, damn, these niggas. That's why I brought up that conversation earlier when I say your biggest black cocaine dealer. Most dudes can't go over 1,500 bricks. I'm talking about reading it. So I get to reading, and the motherfucker had 20 tons. I was like, they not even talking brick. So like I used to read the law books, bro. Like, and then that's how I got out of prison, reading that shit and then learning from that shit.
We're gonna take a quick break real quick. Spin it. All right, we back.
Shit, no, doing my research on you, I seen you was recently working at the Ones building.
About a year ago.
You said a year ago. You still work there now, or?
I lost that contract about a year ago.
Now, for sure, for the people that don't know what the Ones building is about, what is the Ones building?
In DC, the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, which was created in an attempt to mimic what they had going on in Oakland, California, just for the record, right? But it's a government, a mayoral agency in DC that works on preventing, stopping, and helping prevent and stop gun violence. And among other things, they have a program in that building called the Pathways Program. And I had a contract with a group called Yay Me that I worked with some of these men that came through these cohorts. I worked over there for about 4 or 5 years, helping dudes that just got out of jail readjust. My thing, I was a credible mentor, or before they changed the title, because they change titles in these type of jobs all the time, I was a credible messenger. And shout out to all the guys like myself that are, working in those capacities, and it's working for them. It don't work for me no more. But yeah, I was working over there about a year ago.
So
What else you was saying?
Now you said that's a contract though. It was like a contract.
I had a contract. Like I'm not a W-2 type guy. Like no disrespect to W-2 type of guys. Like I'm a 1099 guy. I'm self-employed. I like to file my own taxes. I don't like to sit nowhere from 9 to 5. No disrespect to nobody to do. But as I told you, some complex things about me, I'm just not wired the same. And I'm not gonna pretend like I could put Mr. Williams on my shirt and how you doing every morning. That ain't me. So I'm a 1099 guy. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Some of my businesses make a little bit of money. Some of my businesses make a couple dollars that I could pay the rent. Hopefully one day I'll be a big guy. But I had a contract through a company called Yay Me. They gave me an opportunity, and for the opportunity that they gave me, I'm gonna salute them for that. I'm actually gonna take the high road and not say nothing bad about them today, because I got some disagreements and some things that I didn't like that was a part of me losing that contract, and basically, for the word that you use, like I don't like to use it, but losing that job. And before we move on into that conversation, and there's a sidebar, I'm glad I lost that job, because that job made me to get all the way serious with what I'm doing with my entrepreneurship, with my journalism and my blogging and my YouTube stuff. At first, when I was doing it, all of it was secondary because I was hustling and had a job. Now I'm solely just doing my entrepreneurship. So sometimes you gotta get kicked out the nest. And we can say all the time, and this is not to get away from the question, we still gonna get back into the question, but I had to do a whole lot of soul searching after losing that job. You know what I'm saying? I was making almost $70,000, $80,000 a year doing just that type of stuff. So I would be lying if I say that it didn't affect me. I would be lying if I saying I wasn't upset about it. I would be lying if I saying I wasn't ready to get in trouble about it when it happened.
Yeah. Now, before I ask you, like how you lose the job, how did you even get that job though? That's a good contract. I feel like a lot of people want that contract.
I had a contract through an agency called DYRS, And I had a contract through another company called the Youth Advocate Program. These different jumps, some people don't even know these names. Like you hear somebody talk this story and they, like you said, they said, a lot of times they will tell you that I work for the ones. I ain't never worked for the ones. That's why I never believe what they say. So I just told you who I work for.
When I say they, I just mean like
Not you, brother. When I can't stand people that like they. So it ain't you. Like, you know what I mean? My whole life I battled against, they said you killed somebody. They said you sold drugs. So it's not you, it's me. I'm traumatized by these. But back to the, all jokes aside, I had that contract with them and then I ended up losing that contract. And how did I get it? When I first told you a minute ago about my nonprofit efforts, like I used to do a lot of things and a lot of people try to do legal things and they not really doing legal things. And what I mean by that is that some people have businesses, they doing landscaping, they cutting grass, but it's not an LLC, it's not a sole proprietorship. I say all that to say that I was doing a lot of giving back, but couldn't write it off on my taxes, couldn't claim it as a business. So in the process of learning some of those things, I got a job, a contract helping mentor young men that was on the verge of being sent to prison or had some struggles or some challenges with gun violence, to say the least. And in the process of it, most of this work was done by government agencies or nonprofit groups. I don't ever aspire to run a government agency, but I did find interest in the nonprofit group. So I formulated one of them, but not to get into that because we talked about that. I continue to do this work over here because I learned how to do the business aspect watching the people that paid me. In that situation. Like the only reason I know how to formulate a 501c3 nonprofit is because someone else that had them was paying us, and either I didn't like the way they was doing it or I learned where they got the money from and I learned how to do it myself. So that's the positive aspect to that part. But let's get back to the part that you going to. Not that it's not positive, but that's why I was doing that way, to give you a positive answer.
Now for sure. I know a lot of people do want to learn how to do that. But so how did you lose the job though?
How did I lose the job? To be honest, I lost the job. To be honest, I probably never answered this question that way. I lost that job not really valuing, having that type of job and that opportunity because, I was focused on doing certain things on the internet. And when you have a real job, like a 9-to-5 and you're a W-2, like they take your taxes out, you can't be on the internet doing the type of shit I was doing on the internet with Aunt Glizzy and Syke and different shit. Even my mouth cussing, and you can't do that. So, I had survived months getting into that and getting into other things as I was learning what you can and cannot get away with on the internet. Like a minute ago, you asked me a question about internet, nigga. As I only had an answer for you for that because I had to soul search and ask myself, was I an internet nigga, a real internet nigga? I already gave you that answer. But eventually, aside from some of the things that I talked to you about off camera that I really ain't getting into, but I done changed my mind. We could get into all that shit now. But anyway, shit kind of hit ahead, and me and Syke was going back and forth through some divide and conquer shit that I believe Aunt Glizzy formulated. And we ain't got to talk about that pop right now. But as it got out of hand with me and him, and first and foremost, me and him are homies. The homies from the aspect of we from the same city, same town, come from the same background, prison and this and that. I believe, and this is my personal belief, I believe we at least a generation apart, and I believe that maybe some of our signals got mixed on that. I never said that to him. This is the first time I'm saying it, but I believe I'm like 10 or 12 years older than him. And he came to the Wands building. Did he come to the Wands building for me, or did he not come for me? I know that we had our internet shit going on, and some of the bitch-ass niggas that was there, and I do mean bitch-ass nigga, because not everybody that it was a bitch-ass nigga, but a couple of the guys that I don't like and I don't think did some manly shit, I think they blew the shit out of proportion far more than what it was. Now, being as though the Wands buildings, the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, sometimes you intervene when violent things go on. I want to make a point right here. If me and this brother right here, in the process of groups going to get their guns and killing each other, if we could be paid to step in and talk to the groups, and this is a thing called violence interruption, why can't I have a problem with a person like Syke and I not get fired and not be blown out of proportion? It's not even an understanding that after the incident, no one was hot, no fires, no guns was shot, no guns was drawn, and we can't work it out. That kind of looks like almost like a hypocrisy in the whole thing of violence and eruption if a person cannot have a conflict. We are the people that's supposed to be interrupting the violence at the moment. If we can't have a conflict and work it out, then to me, not for everybody else, to me, that's telling me you motherfuckers really don't believe in violence and eruption or conflict resolution.
It sounds like they threw you under the bus. From the story that I'm gathering right now, it sounds like they threw you on the bus because, I mean, this nigga argue all the time.
No, listen, what happened with the conflict, though? It depends on what happened with the conflict.
Syke pulled up, Syke confronted me about some bullshit that we had going on the internet. Do I get into that? Syke pulled up like, me and Syke was disrespecting each other back and forth about a bunch of bullshit. And I don't want to get into it because some of the things could be true, some of the things could not been true. That's up for here. That's neither here nor there. We was both wrong. And I can stand on that. We was both wrong and we was disrespecting each other. And the life that we come from, there's consequences. For sure. Whether there was consequences that needed to be meted out or, distributed that day, whether it came from him or it came from me, it came to a head there. And, I think some other people blew it out of proportion. But let me take some responsibility, which I already took responsibility for, the internet shit that I participated in. But maybe I could take some responsibility for that matter. But however, the overall thing of that matter is some people that worked in that building that probably just ain't want me there because technically I wasn't even on the property at the time and Syke wasn't forced to leave. And Syke will tell you to this day, Eyon never pulled the gun out. If Syke saying Eyon ain't pull a gun out, I say I ain't pull a gun out, then who said I pulled the gun out? That got to be the somebody in the building said I put the gun out and they don't want me there no more.
Even when it came to you, like relaying the information to you,
I never got the chance to be no information relayed to me though. But go ahead, because that's technically supposed to happen to you in a situation.
So you didn't get fired. Nobody told you was fired.
So right, they just told me I couldn't come back to the building.
Who told you? Like your boss?
I don't have a boss, but a person that I had the contract with that pays me that ran the program that sent us to that building said that the builder said you can't come back. So you can use that as a technicality of being fired. I couldn't go back to the building. It's almost like if you selling drugs in a trap house. If you can't go back to the trap, you done.
Why you say boss like that though? You said boss like it was offensive.
I don't like bosses. I don't do bosses and masters and shit like that. I don't do POs and wardens no more.
So never had a boss type shit.
Even if it was a boss, I ain't call him boss.
That ain't no disrespect to you. What about supervisor?
Well, supervisor is a prettier word. I could deal with it, but I definitely ain't never had a boss. That's probably why I ain't never had a W-2.
No, for sure.
No disrespect to a nigga that got a boss. But in the streets, in the prison, in the work world, I don't like the term. I don't do boss. But that's a person.
But you can do supervisor.
I can do supervisor. I can report to someone. Like a supervisor don't have to be your boss. I can do supervisor.
I'm just asking.
But I've had a supervisor before, which is why I can't sit here and play no word games with you about that. I mean, and my supervisor in that situation, it wasn't necessarily my boss because I was contracting. They supervised the site. Like I could work for Johnson & Johnson and come to clock and do a job, and the person that's the site supervisor still the supervisor. They not my boss. I don't really like boss. I don't like the feeling of having a boss.
Nah, not to get off of the topic of at the job. Is there anything that you feel like you would have did different though, looking back at it? To avoid the situation?
Nah, not at all. But to try to answer your question, the only thing I would have did different as long as that I was working for another type of contract that people have a reputation built on, and they may not be in a position to say, I'm gonna go be a YouTuber, I'm gonna go write a book, I'm gonna go do a movie. This is their livelihood and this is what they doing. And they gave me that opportunity as a mature individual, as a man. It's just like this my man. If he get a gig, just like we got buddies, whether it was Durkee Black or Mike P or somebody, they got a joint, they say, come rock with me. Once I come rock with them and they my friends, I have an obligation not to do nothing wrong. So I kind of disrespected, these people that gave me this opportunity, although I didn't know I was disrespecting them then, and now I feel a certain type of way about it because I feel like they spent me after the fact, but they spent me because they could not deal with me. I mean, let's look at Shannon Sharp. Whether he did or didn't do whatever he said, they said he did. He gave up $22 million on having much money, and ESPN said, whether you did or you didn't, you gotta get the fuck up out of here.
So you think it was a collective of everything you was doing on the internet, that little whatever?
It was the internet, bro, because I'm gonna throw some shit out here that people don't know. Bro, I was selling drugs while I had some of these little jobs being mentors, and it was no problem. Why? Because I was breaking the law and I knew I better behave. You did? So when you on the internet and you talking stupid and you talking crazy and then you get out of hand and then like me and Syke got to the point where we said we'll do shit to each other. You can't do it like that. Not without being 100% your own boss.
What pissed you off the most though with Syke though? Like
Some of the shit that pissed me off the most about Syke we can't talk about because me and Syke got into some shit behind the internet. Me and Syke had words and different shit on the phone, in person, on FaceTime that we ain't gonna talk about. But what pissed me off the most about Syke that I would tell you back then, what really I think pissed me off the most about Syke is that I don't think Syke knew me. A lot of buddies that know me know that Eyon chill, Eyon to do this and Eyon to do that. But most of the people that really know me know that at some point in time I snapped. I kind of felt like he didn't know me, and I kind of felt like the motherfuckers that was sicing it up to be in a situation where they was playing with me, I felt like, you know what I mean, that they would have been better off playing the traffic. That's how I felt in my heart, and I still feel like that to this day. And I mean, that don't got shit to do with whether I rectify something with Syke or anybody else. A lot of these niggas out here play a bunch of bitch-ass games, and I ain't talking about Syke, I'm talking about on the internet. Most of these niggas that you see playing these tough games on the internet or these clown games, right? They not gonna play these games in the real world with you. So, you know, it was a reality check for me. It kind of reminded me of this dude that was playing these pranks out here at this Virginia mall. He kept playing and played with this white man. This white man shot him. Everybody ain't playing. Now you say, oh, he shot him, he was doing a prank. He didn't agree to no prank. I'm not playing with you now. I don't know you niggas. I'm not playing. Right now, today, when I leave out of here, I'm not playing. Nah, fuck, I got a right to not be playing.
Being there y'all both got experience coming up through the system, and y'all both out here on some positive shit.
I ain't on no positive shit no more, to be honest with you. Like, I'm on some whatever I feel like doing right now. I'm doing YouTube. I'm not even supporting none of them niggas that's on that positive shit. And I hate to sound ignorant or belligerent, but when I try to do the positive shit to be in a collective, they play gatekeeper in high school games. If my man here doing something positive, if you doing something positive, and I like that individual, we cool. Collectively, I ain't with none of that shit. They couldn't pay me to participate in none of that shit. Not if we ain't controlling it.
I said, so could we expect like a event in the future with like you and Big Syke doing something back?
Maybe if it was Big Syke shit, you can't expect me to do nothing with Big Syke if Big Syke got something going on with some other agency. And that's what I'm saying, maybe. If I know that it's Syke and Syke doing it, I don't want a motherfucking thing to do with none of these agencies that's gonna control the money. I go get my own motherfucking money. I don't need no money.
Put a play together yourselves?
If me and Syke talked about it and it was Syke, because that means that we in a real partnership. You're not gonna come to me and you in cahoots with, not cahoots, you're not gonna come to me and the sponsors behind you are somebody that wanna control us. We know how to do it on our own now. Like, no disrespect to the times that they were groups, because I'm still a part of groups. That are 501c3s, they nonprofit groups. They get millions of dollars from Google and NFL and the government, and they give us pennies off of it. It was cool in the beginning, but now I understand how y'all running it. I ain't no pet monkey, bro. So even when I'm smiling and I'm in my head, I'm saying, you think I'm a pet monkey. You know what I mean? I'm revealing that, so, you know, somebody gonna see it and be like, oh, don't play with Eyon. I ain't no pet monkey, though, bro. No matter what. I don't care if you got no more than money than me, more knowledge than me. If I'm there and I'm going through the guinea pig stage, it's only because I'm going through the guinea pig stage so that I can start running the guinea pig farm. Yeah, not that I ever want to treat nobody like the guinea pig. But that's my point. My point remains.
Knowledge is power for shit show.
I mean, think about it. You got some people that never have to work, bro. Like most of us come and think you're not gonna work yourself to get rich. That ain't how the rich get rich. I ain't talking about inheritance, but you're not gonna work your back out of shape. I don't believe it. No, you're gonna get rich or wealthy doing something that you like doing or something that's uniquely yours. Other than that, you could go play the lottery all your life and work at Jiffy Lube.
You saying you're not gonna hustle hard to get it, or what you mean like?
You saying you're gonna hustle, but you gonna find something.
I ain't working no 18 hours a day to break even after the bills come. Is that clear? Like, you feel me? I ain't working, I ain't breaking.
Even if it's your own business.
Even if it's my own business, to make the point that I'm making, I got to say no, because if I'm working a business where I got to break my back and it's just like working at Jiffy Lube, the fuck is the difference? No disrespect to you, but what's the difference?
Said you enjoy doing it?
I don't enjoy doing nothing that don't pay off. Like, I enjoy going to beaches. I enjoy praying. I don't get paid for that. Like, if I'm going to get paid for my labor, whether I enjoy it or not, it got to make a difference. For an example, I quit the first job that I had when I first got out of prison because when I calculated the math, the money that I was making was $500 or $600 lower than what the cost of living for a cell phone and an apartment was. I just do math, bro. So if I got to work in my own business for 18 hours for nothing, if I can't do the math and foreseeing my business plan or my future that it's going to pay off, I brought up John D. Rockefeller a minute ago talking about his father. he cornered the oil industry of the whole country at a point in time in life, but in the beginning, they barely had enough money to put food on the table. So sure, I could go of 18 hours of working like him for 5 or 6 years that's gonna lead to generational wealth later, bro. But for 18 hours to die like that and do nothing, no. Nah.
But you got to roll the dice. He ain't know he was going to create that generational
We looking
wealth.
at it in hindsight, neither did Henry Ford.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
Nah,
but
for
he
sure.
asked me a question that even if it was my business, if I couldn't foresee as a visionary like those two white men did,
I bet.
then no, I'm not breaking my back for my own business. We're going to start a new one.
Nah, you said you foresee the vision. Nah, that's the key word right there. You feel me? Nah,
I mean,
for
that's
sure.
the only way I can see the answer other than just saying, nah, I ain't doing it. But
Yeah.
if you ain't willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears in on your own, which is the vibe that I got when he asked me the question, then like, what difference do you make? Like I be saying, I don't want to put this on young people, but I be seeing people that don't have businesses and never had no entrepreneurial spirit and don't realize that even if you was shoveling snow and cutting grass, that was the start of a business. I see some people say, oh, I need to get a business. Get a business for what? Like, what is going to be what you selling? What you like? I know people that think that if they just start a business, money or get a direct deposit.
No game plan, no nothing.
That ain't.
Niggas
I mean,
just
that's
say
not
business.
what it,
Yeah, motherfuckers just say business. We about to run a business. Don't
so
know
that's
what
what
the
I
hell
think
they
on
about
that
to
tip.
do.
No, for sure, for sure. Before I even leave that last topic though, with you in the job though, you feel like you off that though? Do you feel some type of way? Cause don't Big Syke got the same job that you was working at?
Nah, people think he do. I wasn't a violence interrupter. Big Syke a violence interrupter, according to him. So I was a credible messenger to turn credible mentor. That's just a fancy way of saying I was mentoring people that had some type of problem. I ain't no violence interrupter. I ain't even with it. I don't even believe in it no more. Never did I did believe in straight up violence interruption because I am not against violence. Let me make that point right here. I'm Muslim. The Quran tells you to make your seeds of war prepared at all times. So that means that I must be prepared to fight and defend myself, to defend the deen and then myself at all times. The United States Constitution has an amendment. It's called the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. So now I just gave you religion and United States law to say that you can protect yourself if somebody's doing blase, blase. So if I'm protecting myself in my house and I have to use violence, am I not? Is that now the point where I'm with violence? All right, so since I made that clear, most of us, whether we pretend that we not, we are in support of some type of violence. Even if you pay taxes and you indirectly support the armed forces and they drop bombs on Iran, you have supported that. Now, not to get too deep into what I'm saying, I ain't against violence, I'm against stupid violence. Bro, if you a stepper and you want to go do 100 years and you got a beef with Joe Blow around the corner, don't go shoot little baby girl. Go around there, do whatever the fuck you doing and answer for it. If you get away with it, you get away with it. But keep that shit in your arena. That's what I believe. Now, as far as you know, what those guys are doing, because I'm not talking about psych right now. I'm talking about violence interrupters. For those that it work for, like I spoke out against why I'm not with it no more. And I seen a couple guys come back and shoot like, yo, this is what we about and why wouldn't you do it? Because when I was on shit like that for everybody, a bunch of motherfuckers had a whole bunch of shit to say about it. Now I see some of these same people are doing this same type of thing. I just ain't with the hypocrisy. So nah, I ain't with none of that shit no more. If Joe Blow, I'm not talking about you, Shaka. If Joe Blow say, Eyon, do you know Lord such and such and such? He got a problem with my little man. They fucking the same girl. I can talk like if I know him well enough. Not as a job or a profession, but if I know him well enough and he cares about what I'm talking about, remember, I ain't talking to nobody that don't care. And another one of the things, while I really ain't with the violence interruption, as a whole, as a living, as a way to make a living, is because for real, bro, I don't believe there's anybody in the world that can stop a dude that's dead set on doing something. And if you come in between two groups or two individuals that's dead set on getting busy, and you can even get them to agree that they're going to do a ceasefire or they're going to squash something. When somebody violates that agreement, technically, if you in the middle, you a part of it. And for the guys that think that they could just get people to squash beefs or do a ceasefire and then walk away from it, technically they in violation. And one of my buddies who I look up to, I ain't gonna say his name, but you know him, he said, I don't do that shit because if I squash a beef and motherfucker wop, I'm gonna do such and such and such. So that's why I really ain't with it. But for more power to the people that think that they can save the world. I'm just trying to save me and my men right now. I ain't with all that kumbaya shit that pretend, because same Iraqi, same motherfuckers out here talking about peace and guns down, be the same niggas backdooring, whispering, throwing oops, telling the nigga where low location is. I just don't want no part of no fake shit no more, bro. And, you know, I probably shouldn't have said all that, but that's how I feel.
Nah, barreling down on the back of that, right? Speaking, you sound like you stand on a lot of morals, even through having this conversation. You stand on a lot of morals.
Even if I'm wrong and I accept it.
Nah, for sure.
Like ain't nobody gonna be right all the time.
Yeah, you definitely standing as a man first. So how you feel when the rat allegations got put on your jacket through the internet, and like you said, you hate the they, and it's a bunch of they through the internet that was throwing those allegations on you?
Well, at first I didn't care at all, because the person that was doing it at first, it was Ant. And Ant background and platform is to make a joke or too big. So at first, of course, I was offended. But the first time that they did it, they used another person's name that had the initial E and just said, Eyon told us some shit about a TV being stolen. Anybody that know me know that at my lowest, that's not, so I didn't pay no attention. But it's a notorious rat that's running around right now. They say they Wayne Perry baby mama. They went and took the files from my case, right? This is what I got upset with, you know, the situation with Ant about. And just to make a short story, my real friends, people like him, they ain't never asked me about it. And not just him, other ones. Like other dudes I can name drop right now, and they some of these names that these niggas that think they like that look up to. And they done called me in person and in private and said, bro, we ain't worried about that. But what my issue was is the truth and falsehood together in my life is worse than a lie. And what they did in the situation, they took a motion to suppress statements. I gave an alibi for my murder charge when I was young. I said that, man, yeah, I know who got shot. Did you do it? No, I didn't do it. I was at a hotel. That's called an alibi. Ain't nothing hot about that, right or wrong. In the process of proceeding with the case, the same case I pleaded guilty to 6 or 7 months later, I pled guilty to it, so it don't matter. I'm the only person who went to jail about it. But when my lawyer first encountered me, she said, I know you're supposed to be smart. You think you know everything, but your girlfriend has already told the police you wasn't there. That means the alibi doesn't work no more. So in order to kill the statements that was made about the alibi, they filed a motion to suppress those statements, which was the alibi. It didn't win. It didn't matter. Once I realized that I was done, they turned in the murder weapon. I pled guilty to the charge. They trying to say that I told on somebody. The names in which they dropped are the gunshot victims. That's all I need to say on that. There's no way I could tell on the people that went in the dirt, bro. So I kind of got upset about that, but you know, it is what it is. If a person was really interested, they could go, like right now, if a person think that I'm spinning or I'm lying or I got something to lie about some shit that happened 30 years ago and I done did time in all the prisons where you die about paper, like niggas ain't no, like you could be a rat right there to get away with it. But when I did time, you couldn't. So like for real, I really should be ashamed of myself for even getting upset at them. But when you talking about somebody's character or what they are, like, you know, if you don't feel some type of way, I'm gonna think something wrong with you. Like people say, oh, they words. Fuck that, nigga is a word.
No, for sure. So let me ask y'all, you hit on something real quick. Between you and Shaka, how y'all feel about the climate right now surrounding around rats? Because like you said, you died about being a rat back then. In 2025, rats is on YouTube making $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, they different type of rats. You gonna still die in a situation where you dealing with the type of niggas that's gonna kill you about being a rat. And I ain't talking about because they heard you rat. I'm talking about niggas that went on bank robberies, niggas that went on armed robberies, kidnappings, people that do killings. They still kill you for being a rat. So now the rat has came into pop culture, like the movies and the music. So yeah, you're gonna have certain rats that sit on YouTube, but who is willing to risk their freedom and the rest of their life to go kill that person? It ain't too many active rats on YouTube. And what I mean active, I don't mean that they ain't telling right now. I'm talking about active in an investigation where if a motherfucker don't kill you, he going to jail. Do you think, not to you, just in general, do you think the motherfucker who would be telling on Lil Durk could bounce around on the internet right now? Maybe after Lil Durk is found not guilty or guilty, he could do it. But right now, if a nigga was telling on Lil Durk and he was on the internet with a location that could be found by IP address, and there's millions of dollars out there, I don't believe that he should be able to be active on the internet.
Is there a different type of rats though?
Nah, a rat is a rat, but some rats do more than others. Like you have rats, you have raccoons, you have kangaroos in the real world. I ain't talking about in the rat world, but rodents come in all shapes and sizes.
So the rats that take like, I ain't gonna say a rat.
A lot of people don't even know a kangaroo is a rodent.
Somebody like a gunner situation when you take a plea, would you consider that a rat?
that Gunna situation is funny. I'm gonna try to give you the short answer. First and foremost, Gunna, the 3 things that he had to admit to in a cop, 2 things stood out to me. One, Jeffrey Williams was in a car and Guns and Drugs was in there. He implicating a nigga in a crime. That's hot. Simple as that. There's no way I can sugarcoat it or even try to say, oh no. I would never say, if Shaka is still on trial, that Shaka was in the car with me when the Guns and Drugs was found. Those 2 things I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna mention his name in nothing, and I'm not gonna implicate him in nothing. That is incorrect according to the rules of the streets. What they doing in Georgia and what they YSLing, that ain't my business. I wouldn't jaywalk with Woody or Gunna. Jaywalk.
Now, he said he went jaywalk with Woody or Gunna.
Jaywalk.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about homicide. Jaywalk.
No,
When he still out the store with them.
For sure. So at the end of the day, you would say Gunna ratted though, just because he said that.
It's hot. I keep saying that on purpose because I don't want to say he ratted because he never had to do this. But what he agreed to is that him and someone else did this.
So, but hot and rat is different.
Nah, it's the same thing. Rats do hot shit, but I'm saying ratting straight up is straight up telling. He just agreed to something later. It's still some hot shit, but if he would have got on the stand like Woody was actively ratting. Even when he was saying, I don't remember no more, that was the residual of what he did when he was in the office with them and telling. They brought him back to the stand and say, you ain't tell us this? And he made a mockery of it the whole time. No, I didn't say it. You can't get on the stand if you didn't say it already, bro. If we all in here right now and one person kill a motherfucker and they take all of us to an interrogation room sometime later by ourselves, if I tell at that time and no one else tells, when they try to charge the person with the killing in this trial time, they bring me back for what I've said then. That's why I hate when dudes say, oh, look what he doing. That's not when he did the telling. He did the telling when he was going in and out. Like he said, I said it was Thug every time, even if it wasn't. That's some ratting shit, even if that's not true. If Thug didn't do it and he did what he said, he's a rat. He learned to manipulate law enforcement. Who did the shooting? Thug did it. Did he really do it? He did it this time and he didn't do it that time. All of it is some hot ratting shit. Period.
So, all right, so let me ask you this.
According to the streets and according to me, how I feel.
All right, bet. So let me ask y'all this, right? So I know when you come on TID, y'all always gotta get paperwork and see if niggas hot or not. So how do y'all navigate paperwork versus hearsay when y'all not on the TID?
I mean, that ain't always official like dudes make it out to be though.
Okay, so break it
Would
down.
you agree?
I agree.
So
I mean,
people do
I done
slip
been
through?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, I'm only speaking for where I've been. And I'm not speaking for all the DC, because I know some homies that's paperwork down. Mm-hmm. You dig what I'm saying? But I done been, and like they on it, but I done been in joints. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this to combat, like some dudes say the DC is on paperwork. Overall, I believe that's true, because if somebody say something foul about you, then the paperwork becomes an issue. Then there have been presidents like, for example, Beaumont at one time. They had a very firm and strong stance. If you don't have your paperwork in a certain amount of time, your ass got to go in the hole hot on that until you fix it. That's a fact. That's like people who know that. But then there have been places like Lee County. I'm going to use a place where I was at. It was so many of us, and so many of us was from Lawton. You think I'm going to walk up on Shock and say, where your paperwork at? Like, I got to put that out there, because when dudes say, it's never no time, some of us done already been around each other 15 years. That's something we did somewhere else. We don't do it again because you niggas say we got to do it and now we in the feds. Now, that's an isolated jump, because I know somebody gonna see this say, Eyon said they don't do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying some Lawton guys that might have came in, ain't no way in the world I was around a dude named Rome. Rome was technically a big homie to me. You think I'm gonna come from Lawton, where we already been, walk on a compound? Not that I'm asking y'all rhetorically, do you think? But I'm not gonna walk on no compound with a homie of mine that's older than me, respected, where we from. He's already established, and I'm gonna say, hey, here go my paperwork, where yours at? Now, maybe I can say, here go my paperwork if I'm just getting it, maybe. But I'd be damned if I say, Shaka, where yours at? Now, and if Shaka say, oh, all right, whatever, here go mine. Then okay, then that's almost a joke. That's a formality. That's a gesture. I'm not dead. I'm not serious. There should be nothing in it that I don't know. But anyway, that's not always the case. That's supposed to be the case. I think that's more so with newcomers. When we went to the feds, we had been in prison 10 and 15, some of us 20 years already. So when dudes be trying to sneak, they say DC ain't on paperwork. In Lawton, you did not need the paperwork. It was on the news. It was in the newspaper. The whole compound knew you was a rat. So when dudes be sneak this and saying, them niggas don't check paperwork where they from. They never been in a system like ours, where not only do a nigga know you, a nigga know your father, your daughter, your girlfriend. Y'all had the same girlfriend. Y'all was fucking the same bitch and junior. They not from a place like that. They from a place where He from Cleveland, he from Cincinnati. If they ain't go to juvenile, they never seen each other. If they wasn't balling in the street, they never heard of each other. We from a joint that's this big. And that's all I'm gonna really say with that one though, on that paperwork shit. Paperwork is important. And if you hot, you not gonna be in no circle of the men. We gonna put it like that. Whether we seen your paperwork or not, we gonna know. Now, like dudes that come in 5, 10, 15, 20 years after you, and it's a generation thing, I see a lot of dudes now trying to make it an old and young thing. So I'm gonna take a shot at some of that old and young shit, bro. If you ain't come through the ropes and you ain't come through the trenches and certain things, there's certain stages of development you don't even know. So like nowadays, for example, everybody keep talking this paperwork shit. PSIs are not, they don't float around in the feds no more. They finding out if you have by your judgment and commitment and something else. It's contraband to have a pre-sentence report in the feds. Am I right? So these dudes that I hear now, not you, but I seen lately a lot of dudes, paperwork. Bro, they got laws and BOP guidelines that you can't have the PSI no more. So like, I don't really want to hear that shit. When I was in jail, your PSI was mandatory. And they killed that PSI. The PSI is the pre-sentence report, pre-sentence investigation report that you walk around with at that time will show if you had told on your case or any prior cases before your sentencing. You could be hot after PSI. That's another can of worms to open though. But that's just for the beginning part of that one right there. Paperwork thing. I mean, that's a fair thing. It's a different thing. A nigga go to that law library and you down Lawton and pull your case because it was all DC shit. It's not the same thing. And for people to make it the same thing or try to belittle us for the way in which we operate in our home system, that's because they don't know. They might be ignorant to the fact. I don't know what it is.
No, for sure, man.
But he been in the feds longer than me, and after I left, what was the paperwork scenario? What was the paperwork situation?
You say, they stopped doing because people were getting killed behind that, having the PSI, so you can't even have it no more. Like I say, DC, like we so small, like dudes be from DC jail, you know what I'm saying? If I'm in the block with you and I do something fucked up, of course you like, that nigga Shaka did this, what. So by the time I get where I'm going, you always spread the word. Don't fuck with Slim. You know what I'm saying? It was that. So, a lot of our stuff be like word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because through the proximity, like you right here.
Yeah, small spot. So yeah, man, 10 miles in DC. Yeah.
No, for sure.
And then, not to dwell on that too long, but one last thing. In a lot of high profile cases, like remember, 90% of people in DC go to jail for violent crimes. They don't lock us up for a bunch of BS like in other places. Not that those crimes don't happen. But in a lot of violent crimes where someone was shot, it's all over the news, all the way up into trial. Like here, you'll know about it. The only way it may be a secret is somewhere else, and somewhere else they don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know some of them cases where dude done some freak shit or some tree jumping shit or accidentally shot a little kid. Where we from, we know well about it before you get to the feds.
That's a fact. Definitely due to.
You think somebody got to ask Rafe Wetman about his paperwork? Not you, but like for the people to keep saying paperwork. Like I could come up with situations with paperwork you don't. Like I know that it's the law where we come from and we was taught that Shaka coming through. You know what I'm saying? But I don't need no paperwork on Rafe Wetman. I wouldn't need no paperwork on a person like him if we say you can't be around us. It's on the news. It's admitted to. Now for a person that's saying I didn't tell on somebody or that's not true. Or he lying on me. Like I done seen dudes that had enemies and they want to alienate their enemies from their people, their associates, their friends. And then they bring the hot shit up and now you got to figure it out in that situation because now there's something that's going on. But in some of them situations like we talking about locally, we know you're a rat. Like, every big case that I could think of, and I don't feel like naming them because then I'm going to name the rats. And I don't feel like getting into that right now. But every big case from here, from DC, the guys like us that been in prison, we know who the rats are already, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm one of them dudes, like I done played that game, rat before, but there's so many killer rats out here, I'm not gonna let no nigga put me out there to be the one to say he the rat, and now I got to deal with him. And for people to say, oh, I ain't scared of it. You gonna kill a rat? You gonna kill a rat that you ain't got nothing to do with for somebody else putting it out there and you saying that they were like, if that's the case, you just might as well just be an exterminator because you got to kill every rat around.
Nah, for sure.
But that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm just saying, like,
All that shit political for real. I remember like Because I didn't go to Oak Hill, or none of this stuff. Like my whole bid was straight DC
Adult.
jail for adult. You know what I'm saying? Murder one, but I get locked. I got life without parole, whatever. Right. So I was on that all, and I met Bucky Fields. Like that was the first Fed dude.
Shout out to Bucky.
Shout out to Anthony Bucky Fields. You know, he an author and stuff. Like he was in my unit, he Muslim and everything. And long story short, like he was a young dude that had federal experience in the federal system. So I'm 18 at the time, and he Bucky in his mid-20s. So he used to tell me, "Yeah, Shaw, these how the feds like."
He had came back.
He had came back on the rip. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, "Man, we." Like in the jail, like I was on that anything hot, I'm stabbing them, crushing them, stabbing them, whatever. And I carried that stuff from Lorton. Long story short, it was an incident that a dude supposed to been hot. You know what I'm saying? And we had an issue, and I did something to him. You know what I'm saying? I get out the hole, and then they sent us to the feds. And the same dudes that sized me up, because it was older dudes, like, man, y'all had these hot niggas around. So he put the battery on my back, I do something to him. Yeah, I'm in the hole, right? And then when they started sending us to the federal system, the same dude that I did something to, he in the feds with the same guy that told me about being around hot dudes. But because he in the position, he getting the pack out the visiting hall. He getting the drugs. You know what I'm saying? That's his compound now.
They letting them.
Dudes be sending pictures to other dudes in the feds, and you get seeing pictures of the homies like, shit, oh, he all Atlanta, he all Leavenworth. And you look at a picture from dudes on Leavenworth, whatever. And like, hold up, he in the picture with the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like now, like to Eyon's point, I have an end because the dude ain't no sucker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just because he told he still will bust you, he'll shoot you on the street, whatever. But they made an enemy with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Sized me up on principle. He's a rat. But because he's in position, he can get the drugs in to get money, and everybody eating for him. Now
It's a
he
compromise.
you know what I'm saying? So when I seen that, I felt like that was like I felt so stupid. I was like, man, all this shit is political, man. This shit's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, only reason why dudes a rat because you ain't eating off of them. But if you eating off, you gonna hide them. And then that shit intensifies on the street.
Point.
You got so many dudes on the street that done told niggas, no, they told, but they got the bag. You know what I'm saying? They embrace them. You know what I'm saying? So if you come out, if I came out on that jail shit, like, man, oh, he hot. This nigga easy put a bag on my head, kill me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, all my efforts in vain. So all that, like, I was talking about that in the car. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason why good niggas always finish last in this game because we play the game wrong. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a good nigga in a fucked up game. You know what I'm saying? Niggas like us, you gonna get killed or get a long ass life sentence. You know what I'm saying? The niggas that's really winning, you know what I'm saying? Them rats, them snakes, niggas that gonna backdoor their partner for the bag. Niggas gonna turn their partner in for the bag. Cause at the end of the day, everybody just focused on hitting nigga with the bag. And that's what they gonna strive for. They don't give a fuck about the soldier that stand on law and principles and stuff like that. I mean, we will honor that, you know what I'm saying? Like that death before dishonor and all this other stuff. But that shit it's not really glorified for real. Only thing that's glorified is the nigga with that bag. And that's the end game. And that's what the game's about. And that's why we always finish last in the game.
That's some real. I feel like you just dropped a real ass
Yeah,
gem right
he
there.
did.
I ain't gonna hold you. You dropped a gem right there on that shit. So even looking back on it, man, through all that, I just gotta ask y'all this last thing, then we can get out of here. But through all that, as far as the drug aspect and everything, do y'all look back on any of it and have any regret around it?
Man, I don't got no regret on none of the drug shit because, with the stroke of a pen, they can make it legal. But I do have a problem with the mentality that I allow myself to evolve in, because I came from a family and a household that we really wasn't cutthroat. We really didn't have to take nothing from nobody. But the murder capital in the early 90s and the people that I hung with, like Shaka said, he didn't go to juvenile. I went to juvenile, came home, and the friends that I met in juvenile, I got turned out with. I went to end as a juvenile where I was hustling. And when I came home and the friends that I met down there, they was in the armed robbery and different type of violent things. And I became violent because I like to say when in Rome you do as the Romans do, but the Romans do a lot. But I'm just gonna say that, like when guns came out, when guns came out, I wasn't gonna be without one. You know what I mean? So I regret some of those decisions that I made and I'm just speaking for myself, and you know, I went to jail for murder, so it ain't like that I you know, I never did nothing to nobody. And some of the things that I did when we was out there on that gunplay shit, I justified and rationalized in order to be able to sleep good at night. Like, you know, this is a part of it. But even in the street game, you know, robbing and stealing, we accept it as a part of the game. But even if you a street nigga, you don't got to rob and steal. That's a whole nother level of, you know, cruddy. And you know, maybe even snake shit. Now, I'm not gonna say like an armored car or a bank. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to make one crime better than the other, but if I take something from him, even if he's not my friend, it's totally different than a person that's been trained to rob armored cars and banks. You know what I mean? You committing a crime in both situations, but the bank usually not gonna hire nobody to come back and get you and shit like that. When you do shit to people in the streets, I mean, it could go generations. So, you know, I regret some of the decisions that I made where as though, you know, they just weren't the right situations. Even if somebody didn't get hurt, that don't, you know. So that's for me. But as far as just the you know, just the hustling part and the selling drugs, you know, I know that, you know, people fall victim to certain things, kids and this and that, but I wasn't looking at that at the age and frame when I was selling drugs. When I was really involved in drug dealing, I was young. My brain wasn't even all the way developed. So I'll leave it there on that one. I ain't gonna take too much blame for some shit that they showed us as a way out.
What about you?
Same thing, the mentality. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's you know, the lifestyle. Like all my friends, you gotta tell you that people I go, they dead. You know what I'm saying? Locked up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that mentality that you had. You know what I'm saying? To operate that. You know what I'm saying? And you can see how shit's perpetuated, you know, and you played a part of that. You know, it's like, damn, man. I mean, that's why I kind of motivate to do the work that I do, you know what I'm saying, and try to be an agent for positivity now, you know what I'm saying, to appease my, you know, like you could never, you know, undo what's done, you know what I'm saying, but, you know, just try to build a new legacy with these youngers out here, you know what I'm saying, and just try to open up their field of vision that, you know, the world is bigger than DC, you know what I'm saying, like I mean, me coming home, like, you know, I tell you, I've been traveling to Italy, you know what I'm saying, and Costa Rica, just traveling, you know what I'm saying. When I first came home, my buddy Halim Flowers, you know, your artist, things and that.
Yeah, I'm familiar
Yeah,
with him.
that's my
shout out to
sandbox.
Halim, man.
Shout out to Halim. That's my sandbox.
Damn, I need to ask you a question about that
Yeah,
documentary
you know what I'm
too.
saying? So, you know, going there. As soon as I came home, I went to New York Fashion Week with him. You know what I'm saying? Modeled one of his jumpers he made. Eyon was there. You know what I'm saying?
Psyched me up to go.
Yeah, Eyon went out there and just
Shout out to
traveling.
Twin.
Twin Cody, like dudes, you know what I'm saying? And you really see like a lot of my homies, you know, that I helped steered in this negative, like they died not even seeing outside of DC. Like niggas, that's the only bad thing about my city, because the city is the world to them. You know what I'm saying?
Shit, to us at that time.
Yeah, to me, I was
To
the
all
same
of
way.
us, yeah.
But when you get to travel and see other cultures, you know what I'm saying? I just came
I was
back from
amazed that
BL.
so many people hadn't been outside the Beltway, like from where we from.
You know,
So-
that's the main thing, is that mentality, man, that helped perpetuate.
No, for sure, man. I know y'all got a lot of stories though, so I feel like hopefully y'all could be like a reoccurring guest where y'all can just come here and we can just chop it up a lot. For the people that don't know though, let them know your Instagram, your YouTube, where they can find you at.
Can I get this one question off real quick?
Now, go ahead.
All right, bet. You smile, but Hamlin, shout out to Hamlin Flowers.
Halim. My
Halim
bad.
Flowers, yeah, for sure. But definitely been put on to him. I feel like y'all page or DC Decades is ones that actually put me on to his story and started beginning to follow his art and things of that nature when he first came home.
Right.
Him and
Mama Luke?
Mama Lou story.
Yeah, Mama Luke as well. His story
Shout
as
out to
well.
Pub.
Yeah, so those are two brothers that I definitely follow their story, and people that definitely believe we should get on the couch to hear their story, because they definitely got pivotal testimony.
Yeah, I think you should get him on his separately though.
Yeah, definitely. But that DC documentary from back in the day, the
Life in
HBO
DC?
joint.
What about it?
You know what I'm about to ask you about that joint. Because you be in the comments. I just seen you in the comment on one of the snippets the other day. That's
Listen,
the
let me just say
crazy
this.
part.
Whatever you do, but if it's bullshit, just don't put him in the bullshit.
No, I'm not putting shock in the
Go ahead,
bullshit at all.
do you? I'm
Yeah,
okay.
bet,
Go ahead, do what
bet.
you gonna do.
Was he hot? What's
I knew that's
going?
what he was
Yeah,
getting
because
ready to
you in the comment you said, now ask him about other buddy. So we know who Hamlin is. We know about him, but who is the other one, and what's his story? Because you take a personal offense anytime. I ain't gonna say you take a personal offense, but I
They
see
didn't
you
listen.
in the
Andre
comment.
Bruno?
Yeah. What made you ask me? Was we talking about him?
That's the only person. Nigga, I'm from the city. I was there when they made the documentary.
I ain't saying nothing. I'm just asking you. Why did you?
I see it in the comments, so I just had them like you hear it when we spoke on it. When we talk about Hamlin, that shit shot right back into the beginning.
That's all you gonna say to him, right? You ain't got nothing else to say. You just want to know.
I do not support
this.
I'm not,
I just wanted to make sure that yo, this situation with Shawty, like I really don't want. Like I was forced into that, right? Like I don't get nothing out of that. In the process of me talking about some other people that had, broke the code and told us some people, he had some people that was saying they was his peoples and his supporters. Whether that's true or false, I don't know. And I felt like they was attacking me for something that I was saying about some hot shit. And I allowed myself to get into it with them on the internet. So I kept saying, bro, you keep asking me about that nigga, this, and that. And they kept coming back at me like I was making it up. And I don't do no making it up. So, I don't really want to go too deep into that. I kind of want to leave it alone. But his people know he's sitting that police station for 9 hours and some change in front of cameras, just like we on a podcast, and did the same thing that he was doing on the jump. You don't see Halim and Mama Lou and Mike P and Kareem and all the other guys that spoke on that. He the only one in there talking about we gonna do some killing and we gonna do this and the nigga took the shoes and you not gonna need and we got a knife. How the fuck you think the warden know that he was armed with a knife and the nigga asked him for his shoes? I mean, since we just doing it, because that motherfucker keep on saying, Eyon, you doing this. If I would have told somebody, the warden or the police, that a nigga was gonna take my shoes and Shaka gave me a knife to stab him and we stabbed him, I would have been branded as hot. So, being as though they want to keep on asking me about the shit, ask him why he told the police that he got a knife and the nigga asked him for his shoes or any of that other indirect hot shit he was talking about on it. He the only nigga on the whole documentary that I saw that was talking about shit you ain't got no business. All that about how niggas get their food taken, their shoes taken, that's the game. Now, he might have been young back then when he did it. Cool. Why the fuck did you sit in the police station and mention Easy name? Even if he say, like some people like to say, oh, he was lying to the police. If he was lying to the police, I know people that lie to the police. I don't talk to the police about that type of shit. But if he was lying to the police, why would you mention the name of a nigga that you really did crimes with even while you were lying? That was my problem, and I got a right to have a problem with that. Do I got a problem with him? Do I want to keep saying he's a rat? Nah, but as a kid growing up, he in my age range. When you run around and you promote like you bought this and you bought that, even in the feds, like niggas didn't know that he did it. Why didn't we know that you did it? Why did we find out you did it? We only found out you did it because they filed an appeal. Do you know if he didn't file an appeal, nobody would have never knew this? He filed an appeal, and I told you how things go in the law library, and some niggas that law library eagles found it because he filed an appeal. So for all y'all that say y'all fuck with him and keep sending me these messages about why, I ain't bothering him. Stop bothering me, and I stop talking about it. But you know that he's sitting there in front of them cameras for 9 hours and talking about all that bullshit, stealing cars, all that petty ass shit. They wasn't getting no money. I don't respect it. Period is that. I'm going to stand on that. He know he did it. That's why I said it. If y'all want me to stop talking about it, stop bothering me about Shawty. Shout out to his little brother. His little brother said something to me about where the paperwork at, and you talking about my brother. And his little brother, to my knowledge, he not hot. He Muslim. He a man. If you see this, I respect it, but it's your brother. I said it because I saw it.
Respectable. Nah, I definitely had that question, but yeah, you cleared the air for that shit. But go ahead, Big Mouth. I had to get that off before we got out of there.
So now just let the people know where they can find you at.
On Instagram, you can check me out, DC Blacks. That's kind of like my secondary page. That's for the men. You can check me out, Uptown Eyon. You might hear, a little bit more of my opinions. And please make sure you check out my YouTube, John DC Blacks. Go to EyonWilliams.com. Check out my books. I got like 40-some books out, 13 with my name on it. And make sure you say something about your book, big homie.
Drama City.
Where can you get it to?
Man, you can go on my page, Coley LeVar, COLIELEVAR.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the shout out, man. But one thing I do, man, I'm in the process of doing my own event promotion thing called Curative Cultures. I definitely want y'all brothers a part of the movement. I love what y'all got on. I salute y'all. I love the creativity, the black unity. You know what I'm saying? She's the 4 kings putting this thing together. I salute y'all for that, man.
Nah, for sure. Definitely keep us in the loop with anything you got going on with that. Definitely. And Eyon, I definitely got to read up on some more of your books, too.
Gotcha.
I ain't know you was 40 in. That's an
I might have
accomplishment.
forgot a couple.
Yeah, that's
I
an
was in the
accomplishment.
cell with him when he wrote Fast Lane.
What type of
Most
books
of them
is
is, it's what they call urban fiction, but I like to call it true crime because when people was creating that category of urban fiction, what they don't know is that when I was sitting in the cell with you, a lot of the stuff that I was fictionalizing, the shit that we knew. You know what I mean?
Nah,
I mean,
for sure.
your book. Like, I read 18th and D history in that book that I didn't even ask you about because I ain't gonna mention some of the names, but there's names in that book that I know that are real names. So a lot of us write from a perspective of like Nas, how Nas looked out his mother window and scribbled in his notepad.
So
Like we left out the window.
Nah, for sure.
a lot of the books be truthful.
Urban
I'm gonna speak
fiction.
about me, right? Most of them Jones that I write is from the murder capital era. Like most of my books started at least in the 90s. Even these Jones that I write this other day, I didn't believe in my skills as a author. I believed in my memory. I know that even if I didn't do it to this level, I did it, and I remember what the mechanics was. So that's how I started writing. So most of my books that are fiction, every character was really him or Black or Tone or Marky or one of these guys that I knew, even some of them that I looked up to. So that's how I made my protagonist. Like my hero and my villain, my protagonist, my antagonist, they were guys that I liked and guys that I didn't like, and then I created their layers of character. So that's how I learned how to write.
Where can the people find your books at?
EyonWilliams.com, Amazon.com, and as they say, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, nah, for sure. What's the must reads though? What's your top
Lord
3
Legends
must-reads?
probably. Lord Legends the realest shit I ever wrote.
Fast Lane, man.
Fastlane, the first joint is my reasonable doubt, and all my buddies like it, and it's probably truer to the thing. But I got more. I hate to say this like this, but I got more international recognition from Lord Legends because they accepted it as what it was. People wanted to say it was urban fiction, but technically it was historical fiction, and I added some urban fiction in it.
Tip. Nah, for sure.
That's what I think for me. But check out EyonWilliams.com, man, and go to DC Blacks on YouTube, man, and I appreciate the love. Hopefully I can get back over here, man. We could turn this into like a East Coast big podcast, John. We don't need to use nobody else thing.
Yeah, we ain't using nobody's name. We got.
So we definitely want you to come back. I definitely see the vision.
You know.
Like I said, I know we probably didn't even scratch to the surface of anything that both of y'all got, you know what I'm saying, to talk about. But yeah, another day. We on Big Mouth, Mouth of the South. Make sure y'all follow Big Mouth
Shout out to
Media
Big
too on
Mouth.
Instagram, BIGMOUF Media #2. Big Mouth Media on YouTube, Big Mouth Headquarters, TikTok, Big Mouth Media. What's the play?
Shit, what's the play? Too wise, man. Y'all been showing love. Keep showing love, man. We got bangers after bangers coming for y'all. This ain't gonna be the last time you see them on the couch either, for sure. We out.